Welcome, welcome. Thank you for your patience, everyone. It's a quarter past whichever hour we were supposed to start. Just getting started, but I'm pretty excited about what's happening today. On stream, we have with us back from the last session, Ashley, top
Hi.
student, Ajanaya, top student, and in the chat we have 50 top students, hopefully top students. I know we have some teachers as well. Today we're going to be reviewing some essays. So some of you guys, I think 6 or 7 of you actually sent something in to be reviewed. Full disclaimer, I haven't had the time to pre-check the essays just as last time. So nothing is pre-written or pre-marked. I'm gonna be seeing them for the first time, and it's gonna be more of a first impression. What do we think upon this first look? It won't be a detailed um marking that will tell you if you're gonna get a grade 1 or 2 or a 21 or a 25 or anything like that. It's really just things working well, things that need improvement. If you saw the last essay review video, then you know what's up. Now, with us this afternoon is yet another special guest, Miss Berkeley from TNT, from the Berkeley Academy, a colleague of mine, and yeah, she was just willing to jump on stream and help us out. So
Hi
let's give her a
everyone.
warm welcome.
Hi.
Yeah, and looking in the chat, I'm seeing a lot of students back from Carib Zone. That's Miss Williamson's group of students, and I'm seeing a lot of students saying ready, 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 so ready. Yeah, welcome. Looking good. Ready is my favorite word for today. Nice. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have some military students here. Yes, sir. Yeah. Carib zoners. Ready, 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 ready. Yeah. Somebody saying hi, Miss Pink Hand waving.
It's
Robin
so
Hood
funny
always here.
because
Chat about you just sent me an essay just now. Michaela, you sent me one as well. So you guys will see your work on stream.
I'm excited. I'm
Oh
excited.
yeah.
I am excited as well.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
It's so funny because on my computer it's like everything is in French, including their messages. And while you say hi, it's like you translate it directly, and it's just so interesting. But anyways,
Oh man. That's why I call Ajane the Frenchman. Yeah, the Frenchman. All right. Are you nervous, Chad? You should be. That's a good feeling. Nerves can be very useful. Yes. It means you care about what's happening. That's what it means. That's all it means. It's not a negative feeling if you're nervous, but let's not be anxious. We can be nervous, but let's not let that slip into anxiety where we spiral and we start overthinking and we start panicking. Yeah. First time chance, well, means you have a worthy name. You took a chance on the live, and I hope you're gonna get what you came here for. Yes, it should be good. All right, we're 20 minutes past the hour, so I'll just bring up the essays on screen. We're running kind of in no particular order. You know what? We should run in one particular order. There's one essay that we had to forego reviewing last time, which is one of my students' essays, Krishna. So we're gonna start there. Otherwise, who knows if it will get chopped again? That would be a travesty. So we're gonna add that. You didn't know any of this. How did you not know you were in the last stream, innocent Arctic Fox? Right? You were telling us about how students were cheating in sending in their responses super super quickly. Yeah, there was an email address on the flyer. Yeah, I'm sorry you missed that chance, but hopefully there will be another chance for you to do something like that. Anyhow, let's run it. I have a couple of essays. Ashley, the best. Look at that. Ashley, you have fans.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Thanks
Of
for
course.
coming out, Aaron. Yeah, write it for another day. And even if it doesn't make it onto onto the stream, it's writing practice, which is the point of everything. And these essay reviews will give you some insight into your own essays as well. That is the idea, because I'm sure we have similar things going well for us and similar things not going well for us in our own writing. So let's transfer as much of the feedback as we can to our own, our personal writing. Okay, bam, bam, bam. Krishna da Costa. That's where we begin today. Let me see. Okay, I think we can work with this setup here. And Krishna isn't here to read, so I'll ask one of the panelists to do the reading. We'll go paragraph by paragraph, and then we'll kind of analyze each paragraph to see what's working well and what would need some amount of tweaking in order to reach that master student level. The prompt isn't here, but this is the past paper question that reads, would increasing the driving age to 20 years decrease road accidents? That's pretty much what the question is answering. Would increasing the driving age to 20 lead to a decrease in road accidents? Right. So keep that in mind as we look at the essay. All right. Who wants to go ahead and start with the first paragraph here before we start getting into the review?
Yeah, I can. I can start things off. Let's go.
All right, start things off.
Okay,
First,
let me read this. Is there really any doubt that the prevalence of road accidents is attributed to the age for obtaining a driver's license? More certainly, the number of road accidents will decrease if the age for obtaining a driver's license is increased to 20 years. Firstly, a young person's intelligence, competency, and motor skills improve as they age. Secondly, person's level of maturity increases when they leave high school and enter university. Lastly, there will be less drivers on the road if the age to obtain a driver's license is increased, leading to less congestion and road accidents. Statistically, it is proven that the age for obtaining a driver's license is linked to the number of road accidents that occur annually. Very interesting.
All right. I think in general it's a solid start. I do see a couple of things that I would want to adjust to get this from good to great, but I want to hear what you guys think. And persons in the chat, you are able to send your insights in your feedback via the chat. We'll consider those as well, right? This is a group activity, so please feel free to participate. All right, panelists, what do we think? First impression.
So I think it wasn't the best introduction that I have seen, but it was great. And I know Ajana read it so weird because Ajana does not agree with the stance that he took, but it was great. And the points were good as well.
So you said it wasn't the best introduction, Ashley.
It wasn't his best introduction.
Oh, it wasn't his best. Okay, but
Yes.
it was good in general.
It was good.
All right, cool. I can take that. And Ashley knows Krishna. In fact, they're kind of rivals. So Ashley, please be unbiased. All right, let's not bring emotions into this. Ashley is here always fighting off Ajnaya, fighting off Krishna. Just friendly rivalry in the classroom. Yeah. Miss Berkeley, you're about to say something about the intro here. Who was it? Somebody unmuted just now.
Just no, I didn't unmute. However, I will use the opportunity to say something about the intro. The only comment that I have about the intro is, firstly, secondly, lastly, I felt like that should have been, in the body of his essay and not really in the intro, right? And I don't know. I feel like when we read along, I will see the transitional rules, but I feel like we should have stronger transitional rules. So far, it's okay. But I would leave these for the body of the essay.
All right. Understood. So you'd like to see those transitions in the body instead, helping out with the flow of the points. All right.
I
Yes, Arjunaya.
I genuinely think it's a good introduction, and it's a very reasonable introduction. I don't really see any big errors, but just in the first point, I can see already 2 points because intelligence, competency, and motor skills, these can be separated into different points. But yeah, and I kind of seen it link in different ways because like your competency and your maturity and your intelligence kind of link into maturity in a kind of a way, but not really. So I'm interested to see how he develops it. And overall, I don't find it bad. The statistics there isn't bad. I would just put it before I state my points instead of
Mm-hmm.
after. But I don't think that's a big problem. But in the overall, it's not bad. I like the starting with the little question, and then you answer the question by saying most certainly. I find that's a nice transition. So overall, it's quite good.
All right. Yeah, I kind of agree with most of the feedback given so far. We do just to identify the hook. We have our hook right here in this rhetorical question. Is there really any doubt that the prevalence of road accidents is attributed? Nice piece of vocabulary. We'll highlight the wonderful words as we go along. Words that, if you get a chance to use these, well, you probably should, because they really show that your vocabulary range. You don't have to overdo it like Ajnaya and use the biggest words you can find, but you definitely want to sound like you're writing at a college level. If I say at the CSEC level, then you're at risk at getting a grade 2, because there are too many students writing at that CSEC level already. So you want to see if you can, just be a cut above the rest. And I guess that's why you're joining such streams, right? So is there really any doubt that the prevalence, nice word, of road accidents is attributed to the age for obtaining a driver's license? So from the rhetorical question, it's kind of clear what side the essay will take. So even though it's not a stance, it's leading into the stance, which can make for some good, a good flow. And then we move into the stance itself, which is very straightforward, most certainly quite emphatic. So the essay will have to do a good job backing up all of this confidence. The number of road accidents will decrease if the age for obtaining a driver's license is increased to 20 years. And I wanted to notice that Kimberly, thank you for being here. Haven't seen you in a while. It's it's an interesting technique when the thesis statement is actually the answer to your rhetorical question that you opened with. So you ask the rhetorical question, but the answer becomes the thesis. It becomes like the point of the whole essay, which is very interesting. Nice way to use a rhetorical question, and instead of just leaving it hanging, you actually answer it and make it clear what you think. What you think the thing is, whether you're for or against a particular thing. And then we go into the 3 points. So we have our hook, right, which is necessary. Then we have our stance or thesis, which is necessary. Then we go into the listing of the 3 points to be discussed. A young person's intelligence, competency, and motor skills improve as they age. Intelligence, okay, that's a good point. I think that's going to make for a nice paragraph. Secondly, and this says persons, but I'm not sure. There's a little grammatical glitch here. I guess this should be outside. It's not just one person, right? Or maybe he means a person's, like speaking individually, a person's, blah, blah, blah. So there will be a little bit of fixing to be done there. A person's level of maturity increases when they leave high school and enter university. Um, it's This point isn't extremely accurate because this student, Krishna, did not state what the current driving age is, which some persons might just assume is 18. It is 18 in most countries. But are 18-year-olds in high school? Not necessarily. So there's not a perfect correlation between being in high school and being 18, right? Most 18-year-olds are probably not in high school anyway. So I'm not sure if that point is should be expressed in that way. Maybe stick to the age and not stick to the school, to the kind of school you're at. Plus, you can be over 18 and decide to start working and not go to university. So I probably wouldn't drop in the university point. And lastly, we shouldn't say less drivers since this is a countable noun. There will be fewer drivers, is what we should say. There will be fewer drivers on the road if the age to obtain a license is increased. Right? Leading to less congestion. And now this is a little ambiguous, this sentence. Leading to. It sounds like it's going to lead to two things. One, it's going to lead to less congestion. And two, it's going to lead to road accidents. Obviously, we know that's not what the writer means. The writer actually means it's going to lead to less congestion and fewer road accidents, right? So we just need to add fewer here to make sure, what's in our mind is what is conveyed on paper. We have to be as clear as possible. Statistically, now what I would do is not start talking about statistics in the intro, right? Might be a personal thing, but details like statistics should be left to the body of the essay where you will do some explanations. So in your intro, you want to mention your 3 points, but you don't want to start supporting anything. That's what the body of the essay is for. So statistically, it is proven. It could be seen as a restatement of the stance, but that's not necessary. The intro is long enough, so we could scrap this and leave it until we get to the body. But apart from that, I think it's a pretty solid start. We have our hook, we have our thesis, we have stated the 3 points. Just a few little errors, but yeah, I think it's not so bad. All right, I'll continue with the second paragraph here. Let me leave this up so we can see how things flow. Research has shown that a person's awareness and reflex improves in their 20s. Therefore, a driver who performs an additional amount of driving experience and studies the road code will be more competent on the road. As a result, there will be less accidents. You get better at something the more you do it. Oh man, I wish that quote was cited. To support this view, a driver who acquires his license at age 20 is more experienced and knowledgeable in driving. This inevitably leads to a decrease in the number of road accidents. All right, panelists, what do we think about paragraph 2?
Honestly, sir, I'm not going to lie. It's an okay. It's not. It's all right. It's all right. I wouldn't go down too hard on it. However, I am seeing some hiccups in it because, firstly, research has shown that a person's awareness and reflex. Yeah, but like you could probably say what research or something like that, not just research. You could probably be a little bit more specific. Um, the and so therefore a driver who performs an additional amount of driving practice and studies. You see now the therefore I don't think it's properly connecting the second point because therefore is when you say therefore it's supposed to be something that you based on your previous point and the 2 points are kind of not joining perfectly together because in the first point he talks about awareness and reflex and then the second
therefore here we'll be connecting it to the previous sentence, to the research has shown blah blah blah, not to the previous point, right?
No, well, what I'm saying is like,
Mm-hmm.
therefore, a person who performs an additional amount of driving practice and studies the road code will become more competent on the road. But
Mm-hmm.
he says before that a person researchers talked about awareness and reflex, and then he talked about
Mm-hmm.
competence.
Mm.
You understand, like,
Yeah.
therefore supposed to like add in to it. So he talked about reflex and awareness, then he talked about competence. These are
So different
kind
things. He's
Yeah,
adding, not
exactly.
showing causation.
Yes, exactly. And therefore it's like
Mm.
show that something based on that this happened. So that is something that I would really take out. And based on the fact of it, I kind of don't agree with it, because someone could actually have experience even though they start their age um long um even though the age for obtaining a license is reduced, they can still have that experience because they could probably start at 15, 14, who knows. So the experience part of it, ah, that is very debatable.
I
um,
mean, the whole thing is debatable, Ajnaya.
well,
I mean,
yeah,
you
well,
could write
yeah,
an essay disagreeing, but it's about how well he's able to support his side, right? So, I mean,
yeah,
I
that's what I'm
personally
saying.
disagree as well, but I won't bring my personal disagreement into
Well,
assessing the writing.
the reason why I said that is because probably
Yeah.
if he had convinced me a little bit more, I could have
Okay.
probably think like, okay, he's making sense. But just the way it is like I'm seeing like, okay, okay, so explain your
Hmm.
point, explain how this and this results in this. So yeah, but overall, it's not bad. I
Hmm.
like the implementation of source. You are better at driving you are better at doing something the more you do it.
Hmm.
It's not bad. So
All right. Sounds fair. Sounds fair. Just to acknowledge what's happening in the chat, when I said cite your sources, I mean just tell me who said it or what organization the research would have come from. It wouldn't be a real life person or place or institution. You are able to invent that. Just ensure it sounds realistic. All right. Anything else from the panelists?
wait, you could hear me while I was talking
Yes, 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 yes,
properly?
yes.
Okay.
I could not quite not. I wouldn't say properly, but I could hear you well enough. Ashley has disappeared. Anything else so far? All right. Let me go through and take it step by step on this paragraph. So as Ajnaya said, we definitely want to add some credibility to the research mentioned here by stating what research. Research conducted by blah 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 um, has shown that blah blah blah, and you could actually go into detail, just a little bit of detail in terms of giving us maybe a statistic or some conclusion drawn from the research. But when you just say research shown is shown, research suggests blah blah blah, and we don't know what research, we don't know if you're just making that up. It doesn't sound as credible, right? So more details on the research would be necessary for building out the paragraph. Research has shown that a person's awareness and reflex subject verb agreement improve. Remember, guys, these little grammatical things will get us when it comes on to that part of the rubric that deals with punctuation, grammatical structure, stuff like that. So awareness and reflex, it's a plural subject, so we need a plural verb, improve. So research has shown that a person's awareness and reflex improve in their 20s. Therefore, a driver who performs an additional amount of driving practice. I don't know if I would say perform driving practice. A driver who engages in additional driving practice or something like that, and studies the road code, for a longer period of time, or for an additional 2 years, will, and I wouldn't make this a conclusive statement. I would say will likely, or is likely to be, because clearly you can study for 10 years and still not be competent. That's just a logical fallacy that we want to avoid. Is more likely to be more competent on the road, right? And yeah, I'm not sure if this up here is causing this, or it's like a slightly separate point. So I might use a different transition, adding showing addition, like moreover, or in addition, or something like that. If it is that, this is a different point, because awareness and reflex aren't the same as um driving practice. Driving practice is more about the skill, awareness is more about the maturity, right? So it's like in addition, blah blah blah. So we want to show addition here instead of show causation. Cool. Um, as a result, there will be, and again, countable, fewer accidents. Fewer. What do we mean by countable? Because it has come up again. Fewer drivers up here, fewer accidents down here. What we mean is, because we are able to count accidents, 1 accident, 2 accidents, 3 accidents, we have to use fewer instead of less. That's just a grammatical rule. If it's an uncountable noun, for example, frustration, you can't count 1 frustration, 2 frustration, right? So you can't say fewer frustration, you would say less frustration. So if it's countable, you use fewer. If it's uncountable, you use less. Guys, I have some grammar videos. Please check them out. So you're not losing marks in silly ways in your essays. All right, you get better at something the more you do it. It's a nice quote. It does make sense. It's relevant. My only issue is you could have told me who said it. So, source. You get better at something the more you do it is a quote that can be seen in blah blah blah, such and such an article, or such and such a magazine, or said by such and such a person, right? It just gives a little bit more credibility when you tell me who said the thing. And since you're able to invent that information, you don't have to overthink it, right? You just write a name or an institution that sounds relevant to the topic being discussed. All right. To support this view, a driver who acquires his license at the age of 20 is more experienced and knowledgeable, or maybe, or is likely to be more experienced and knowledgeable in driving. This inevitably leads to a decrease in the number of road accidents. All right. I won't critique any more of this paragraph. I think we've looked at the major things that could use improvement, but there's a lot going well as well. So don't get me wrong, don't get it twisted. The paragraph does have an excellent point. The point is explained, but the evidences need more detail. That would be the main issue with the paragraph. Give us more details with the evidences you use. All right. Which panelist will take us through the third paragraph here? All right. Let me get us off the screen. Zoom it up a bit. I think we can still see it here. Yeah. Miss Berkeley, do you want to take us through paragraph 3 before we critique?
You'll have to raise it a little because I'm hardly seeing it on my screen.
Hardly see it. Is that a bit better?
Yeah, that's okay. All right. Many teenagers struggle with peer pressure. It is evident that when a person reaches age 20, they gain a higher level of maturity, as some choices can negatively affect one's future. This results in them making morally correct and responsible choices and not giving in to peer pressure. The prevalence of this is shown by the significant number of drunken drivers who are contributing to road accidents. Undoubtedly, by increasing the age for obtaining your driver's license to 20, you will significantly reduce the chance of having immature and irresponsible drivers on the road. Is that the last? That's the end what I'm saying.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So what do we think?
I was going to try not to comment on the actual points because, when you're in the exam room, your points may vary. So it's not something that's set. But
Well,
I just
you
have to
can
comment
comment
on
on
that.
how logical a point is or how well it's explained, of course.
Well, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, firstly, the guy spoke about peer pressure. Then he spoke about negatively affecting one's future when they reach 20. I see no correlation between the two.
Mm.
I yes, peer pressure, but where is peer pressure coming from? It's quite random to me. It's yeah, and I didn't see any statistics or any credible source. I just saw a lot of assertions, like undoubtedly, with not without any source or examples or anecdotes or anything like that.
So lack of evidence.
Um, yeah, I have a feeling that my mic
Yeah.
is
Yeah. Yeah.
not.
Yeah. No, I'm hearing you well. Hearing you well now. Better
You
than
can hear me
before.
properly. Okay, great. And
All right.
probably if I look, I might do something else, and I don't appreciate. It's up to preference. It's up to preference, but the amount of times, like he said, well, you will be significantly reducing the chance of having immature and irresponsible, like
Mm.
that you there, you is a little bit less formal,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
I mean, one to be honest, I would even go with one, or
mm-hmm.
I would just
One
like
would one. Yeah.
not say that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
But overall, I like the significantly. I like the way he used significantly.
mm-hmm.
But it's just making an assumption because he didn't back it up. Okay, yeah, but okay, you just saying something to back up your point.
Mm. All right. Very very fair critiques, I think.
I just want to add to what he said. So in terms of this paragraph here, I see the relationship between the maturity and the peer pressure. I'm seeing it. However, what I'm not seeing is the relationship with the drunken drivers. I feel like this was just randomly placed here. Like, what does the age of 20 have to do with drunken drivers? And if we are speaking about drunk drivers, really and truly, it's mostly the more mature crowd that actually are the drunk drivers, not the less
Right.
mature, right?
Yeah.
Um, let me see what else. So in terms of the you, I agree with, I definitely, what's the name? Is it Ajanaya? Ajanaya. I agree with Ajanaya because if he is using a persuasive technique where he's using like these type of personal pronouns, then it must be throughout the
Right.
entire essay rather than randomly just drop it in once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the only two issues that I wanted to highlight so far.
All right, very, very good feedback here. The point of view shift, all of a sudden we're getting the you. That's a bit strange. I think it probably started here with the quote, but it's fine in the quote because it's a quote. But you shouldn't just switch point of view, mid essay and start saying you or start saying I all of a sudden. In fact, stay away from these pronouns altogether. and just keep it formal, keep it third person. That shows a more objective tone and voicing in your essay. All right. Now, about the flow of the paragraph itself, I think, kind of to summarize what's happening here, is too much is happening. The paragraph is trying to do too much. Too many points are emerging from the paragraph. One paragraph, one point. That is your rule going forward in your essay. Don't try to discuss like 3 points in a paragraph. We see peer pressure, we see drunk drivers, all of these things. Perhaps if you have a whole paragraph for each, you can flesh them out. But because so many points are being crammed into a paragraph, it's difficult to show like proper correlation amongst all of them. Because here we have peer pressure. So I'm assuming, all right, we're going to talk about peer pressure. This essay, this paragraph is going to be about, you know, teenagers are more likely to succumb to peer pressure, whereas older drivers will not. And the peer pressure is what's going to lead to reckless driving. And so if we have a group that's yielding to peer pressure, they're going to be more reckless. That's what I'm imagining in terms of a direction. But after this mention of peer pressure, it doesn't really get much more attention. It's not developed. It's just left there as like a hanging detail that we are left to develop on our own as the reader, right? And then
Adam,
we move on to, yes, go
yeah,
ahead.
I just wanted to share something. I think he was trying to correlate peer pressure with maturity by saying that the older you get, you are able to deal with it in a more responsible manner or whatever. But he just didn't drive it home. He did state it, as you can see, the results in them making morally correct and responsible choices and not giving in to peer pressure. So he tried to relate it to maturity, that the more mature you get, you're not susceptible to peer pressure, but he just didn't know how to drive that point and link it together. But basically that's what he's saying here, that the more mature you are, you're less able to give in to peer pressure basically.
Yes, that is definitely the intention,
Yeah.
but I don't think the relationship was made very
He
clear.
didn't drive it. He didn't drive it.
Yeah, so how the relationship could have been made clearer would be start out with the main idea, which isn't peer pressure, but a difference in maturity. Older drivers are generally more mature than younger drivers. For instance, younger drivers tend to succumb to peer pressure, which might lead to drunk driving, reckless driving, etc. Whereas older drivers, given their higher level of mental maturity,
Mm-hmm.
might be less susceptible to peer pressure and might be more likely to follow the road code. So if you were to
Agreed.
time the peer pressure in a way that it's clear that peer pressure is linked to the younger people and this is linked to bad driving. On the
Mm-hmm.
other hand, older folks, less peer pressure, safer driving. That way, I can say, okay, peer pressure is a supporting detail.
Mm-hmm.
But here, it kind of sounds like I'm going to get a paragraph about peer pressure, and then it's like a bait and switch. I'm
It's
kind of
still
tricked.
flat. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm kind of tricked a little bit. So it's not that peer pressure isn't relevant, but the connection could be stronger.
Stronger. And by the use
Yeah.
of an example too, if he had used an
Mhm.
example, it could have.
Yes. Yes. So it's a good point, Krishna, but I would say make the connection more explicit. Make it very clear that this is why I'm bringing up peer pressure right now. And then you have here, it is evident that when a person reaches the age of 20, they gain a higher level of maturity as some choices can, and then know this, as some choices can negatively affect one's future. And the as here is indicating that there's some kind of causation. I'm not sure what the relationship is. When a person reaches age 20, they gain a higher level of maturity as some choices can negatively affect one's future. I'm not sure as would be the word to use here, but I'm glad that you're sticking with the point that the older you get, the more mature you get. But it kind of sounds like by the time I hit 20, you just wake up with a more mature brain. So it could make it seem like a more gradual thing. The older one gets, the more mature they get. It's not that when you hit 20, you just wake up, like a Pokemon evolution. It's just a sudden thing. It becomes a new beast. On your birthday, you wake up being an adult, right? It's more of a gradual progression of maturity as you age, which can be seen as we look at 18-year-olds versus 20-year-olds, across the board. So good point, but it could be refined a little bit. And I like the language here. Morally correct. That's like a nice phrase to add in. Responsible choices, leaning into how the older drivers might just be more sensible overall, which would lead to fewer accidents if we had fewer younger drivers. And prevalence, a nice word again. The prevalence of this is shown by the significant number of drunken drivers. Yeah, and drunken drivers, you would have to do a bit more to correlate drunken drivers to the age. Show me where it is shown that most drunk drivers are, 18 to 20 or 18 to 19 or something like that. And then you have undoubtedly, which is quite strong. Undoubtedly, by increasing the age for obtaining, I might try to avoid the yours here. To 20, you will be significantly reducing the chance of having immature and irresponsible drivers on the road. So, what I definitely like about the paragraph so far is the inclusion of relevant vocabulary, right? Some of these vocabulary words, because remember, we're looking at the connotation of words. If you're writing an essay that is against something, it's against a particular idea. This essay is against allowing younger drivers to be on the roads. We want to see that negative vocabulary that's, kind of hitting that emotional appeal. Like, man, all of these words are so negative. It sounds like this person is really discussing a negative thing or something I should consider to be negative, right? So we have the immature, irresponsible, and these contrast well with morally correct and responsible, showing that contrast between the two sets of drivers. So that's a nice technique. Contrast is an overlooked technique, but we can use contrast to show that one group is A and the other group is B. We want group A, we don't want group B. Basically, that is the technique being used in the paragraph. So that's pretty well done, Krishna, that technique. But my main issue, to wrap up, my main issue with the paragraph here is the causation is a bit unclear, and we need more development and more evidence, right? But the points and the vocabulary are good, right? All right. Let me move on to the last body paragraph. Statistics have proven what statistics? Please tell me what statistics. Statistics have proven that road accidents are caused by road congestion. And this wouldn't be the only cause. So road congestion road congestion is one major cause or one contributing factor to blah blah blah, right? It's not that this is the only thing that causes accidents. This means the more persons obtaining a driver's license will equal to more drivers and motor vehicles on the road. This is simple math, yeah? If the age for obtaining a driver's license is increased to 20 years, there will be less traffic and a lower possibility of road accidents. Very clear, very concise. I just want to see what this statistic is. What do we think on the panel?
So my computer has been very laggy, but I hope you can hear me properly. Can you hear me
Yes.
properly? Okay, good. The only thing I can say is the points. Road, because you are obtaining your driver's license earlier, that doesn't necessarily mean that they will have more people on the road, though. It
Of
because
course
it's
it
just
does.
how.
How? Because let's say we raise the driving age to 50. Let's just make it extreme so the math is clear. You raise it to 50, you just eliminated more than half of the driving population. So raising
Well,
the
that
age to
would depend on
20,
many factors, like
like
the
what?
population. Like if the
Mhm.
like for example, if the population is an aging population, then they will actually have more people driving at 50. But if the population has is full of younger people, then yes, then they will have more younger drivers. But just saying it like that, it doesn't
But Ajnaya,
automatically.
that that only affects the degree to which there's a reduction, but there has to be a reduction, right? If you're eliminating a fraction of the driving population, drivers 18 and 19, then you're gonna have fewer even if it's 10% less or 5% less, right? It's just gonna be that we have fewer drivers because this guy who used to drive, he's 18, he can no longer drive. That's one less car, one fewer vehicle, and what it's less chance for problems. So I think the point is good, but it could be expounded on so that we realize that, because I included this point when I wrote a response on this in a sample essay. And what I did is I gave an example. I said, in I think I used Jamaica. Jamaica has a population of XYZ. With that, if we eliminated the 18 and 19-year-old drivers, if we took them off the road, that would result in a decrease by X number. We would lose 100,000 drivers just by getting rid of that small subsection. So even though it's just that it seems like a small fraction over a big population, that's a lot of people off the roads, right? That's a lot of people. The number might
Okay.
the number might sound small because you're saying, okay, we have people from 18 to 80 driving. If we take away just the 18 and 19-year-olds, only this small fraction here will be removed, 18 and 19. But this big fraction will still be there. But this small fraction might be 100,000 people in a big enough country. So it's the maths, but maybe an example to illustrate the math would have been good. And you're making that point clear, Ajinaya, that an example or some statistic showing how the math would work um would have been good. I would probably use like a big country, like take for example the US. If you got rid of all 18 and 19-year-old drivers from the US, that's a lot of drivers gone. A lot of drivers off the roads. And it would mean, you know, there would be a slight, at least a slightly safer driving population. Right. So a bit more of an expansion would have made that clear. Yeah. Would have made that clear. Yeah. All right, Atanaya, since you're active, run us through the conclusion and then we can wrap this up.
Okay. In conclusion, it is evident that the age for obtaining a driver's license should be increased to 20 years. By doing so, there will be more mature, knowledgeable, and responsible persons on the road, which will cause a significant decrease in the number of road accidents that occur.
It's evident. What do we think?
It's not bad.
Yeah, clear to the
It's
point.
Yeah, it's not bad. I don't really find any problem with it,
Mm,
or
mm,
just the call to action would just make it a little bit better.
mm,
But
mm.
the how it stands, it's good. I find it's good.
Yeah, I think it has the two main elements that it needs of a restatement of the stance, and then we have the 3 points being re-acknowledged, more mature, knowledgeable and responsible. Oh, we don't have all three. So here I would also just squeeze in the stuff about the fewer drivers equal fewer um, chances for accidents, and the maturity, and the maturity stuff is here. Um, yeah, so I would try to squeeze in all of my points in here in this little sentence, just to reiterate the 3 points that I would have discussed. And then, yeah, it ends well. So overall, an essay with good points and good vocabulary. A few points needed some more needed expansion, and we needed to see more compelling evidence, right? But I think in terms of like the transition and the vocabulary and so on, it's generally good, a good piece of work. Zara says, "What would your call to action be for this conclusion?" So the call to action or closing statement could be something like, um, our society can be made safer with this simple policy change, um, and just something about how it would impact the broader society. Because what you want to do is right at the very end, you want to kind of convey some kind of greater relevance of the discussion. So it's not just about picking on young drivers, but in the end, wouldn't this lead to a higher quality of life? Wouldn't this be a good thing for everybody? So make it clear that this you have persons have a reason to want this. It's not just about the driving; it has a broader, application. Yeah. So that would be how I would wanna end it. That would be how I would want to end it. But this ending is also fine. It's just that you have the option of going a little bit further at the end. It also depends on how many words you have written so far, how much time you have left, stuff like that. What score would you give out of 25? I'm not marking in as much detail to give you like a number out of 25, but the range would probably somewhere, I don't know, like 17, 18-ish. I don't know, it might reach 20 on a good day. Um the points are, well, it wouldn't reach 20 because this paragraph is too weak. So we have one whole paragraph that needs a lot of reworking. So it would be higher than a middle grade, but it wouldn't be like a very top grade, I think, because of how messy this paragraph is and because of the lack of evidence. Somewhere around 15, 16 marks. But I'm not sure. I would have to check cross-reference the rubric and mark in more detail. So I can't give you a serious number, you know, quite yet. This wouldn't be how I would mark it, to get an actual grade. 17 and 18 seems fair. Yeah, I think that range is fair. From around 16 up to around 18. But to get 20 points, you would have to be hitting most of those um things with the evidence, and all three paragraphs would have to be solid for you to get anything close to 20. Right. Yes. All right, let me see what's happening in the chat. Well, the fourth paragraph doesn't have to be a counterclaim. No. You can just write a persuasive piece, just giving points for or just giving points against. If you want to write a more argumentative essay um where you're a bit more balanced, then you can include a counterpoint, but it's not compulsory. Yes, you should take a look at the past papers, Rivaldo. There's definitely a word limit. It's 250 to 300 words. This looks like about 300 words, maybe a little bit more. All right. So that's that for this essay. Let's move along to the next one. Who is this? All right. Let's see who this is. Is this person on stream? The person whose essay is up here? Yeah, I'll check the essays. Sorry. I'll prioritize the essays of those students who are actually here right now. I think that's a good way to do it. So is this person here? Person who wrote this? Let me find the name.
I think that one is Rachel Abbott. Rachel Govadan.
Which one?
This one is Rachel Goverdan. That's his essay.
Oh, okay. Goberdon. Rachel Gober. Okay. Is this person here? Is there a Rachel in the chat? Let me know. You have 5 seconds to declare yourself. If not, we'll move along. Is there a Rachel in the chat? All right, you're here. You got lucky. I was about to skip you. All right, it's good that you're here. Thank you, Rachel. And just know you're already a winner having submitted this essay. No hard feelings. Even if at some points we sound a little bit, harsh, we're not demeaning or degrading your writing at all. That's not the aim. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm just making that disclaimer that we're just trying to um, help you guys to improve. So don't take anything to heart in terms of thinking the feedback is too negative, or the teachers we don't like you. That's not what's happening here. We just want to help you guys improve. All right, so I know sometimes it can be hard, having your writing criticized. You might feel like we're berating you and stuff. That's not what's happening. We're just kind teachers and kind students helping you um, to see your own work from a new perspective. All right, I really appreciate that you included your points and the essay prompt. Thank you. That's made it easier for us. Reasons why all high school students shouldn't spend a 1 year period serving their country after school. Okay, so this prompt would have asked you to write an essay giving your views on whether students should spend a 1 year period serving their country after they finish school. And you're writing against because you have shouldn't. Um, your first point, it could disrupt the academic career plans. That's good. That's a good point. It could affect low income or disadvantaged students who can't afford to take a year off. That makes sense. It could not contribute towards academic aspiration. I think this point might be too close to point one. But let's see how you develop it. All right. Which panelist wants to take us into the intro here?
I can try to understand. You see, I can even talk about the handwriting, but anyways, I can try.
It's better than yours, Ajana,
Yeah, yeah,
by a long shot.
Exactly.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm
Just to
saying.
be
So
clear, Good.
yeah, yeah, I know. Okay. In today's society, much is being said. Okay. In today's society, much is being said that okay, all high school students should spend a 1 year period serving their country after school. But despite all the views, I strongly believe students shouldn't spend a 1 year period. This essay will aim to show why students will why students should not spend a 1 year period serving their country. First and okay, I guess that's the introduction.
Okay. So I could go first.
All right, run it,
Okay.
Ashley, and then you can come back in, Ajana.
So the introduction wasn't bad. However, the 3 points. So you're critiquing now, right? Or you reading the whole thing first?
No, go ahead, We'll go paragraph by paragraph.
Okay. So right, the 3 points should have been listed at the end. Well, coming to the end of the introduction, and I do think that you could have used a stronger hook. The thesis statement was fine, and I'm not sure if you could start a sentence with "but" because it's a conjunction, but
I think
still.
you can. You can. I think you can. But to be honest, if this person is watching, I don't want to be too harsh. I really don't want to be too harsh. But to be honest, a lot of words could have been changed and a lot of words were wasted because we already know that you're going to show us what you're going to present. So you don't have to tell us again that you're going to show us something because I mean, well, to be honest, well, you said that I strongly believe, so you state your stance already. So once you state your stance, I don't think it's necessary to go on to say that I will be saying this and that. And I believe you could have used that point to actually tell us what you are going to be talking about. So
Yeah, so wasted words could be way more concise, right? Is what you're getting at here.
yes,
And you
yes.
could use those words more efficiently to actually give us some information to work with. All right. Anything from you, Miss Berkeley? What are we
Um,
thinking
I
about this intro?
I agree. So I realized that her style is a persuasive style where she's using like personal pronouns and speaking directly to the audience. So I appreciate that style, and I think that she maintained it throughout the essay, if my memory serves me correct. However, I agree with the statement. The essay will aim to show this is not relevant information. It should be eliminated because you're already telling us the stance that you took. So we are looking forward for what what points you have and how you develop your points, rather than saying again what to expect. So it's like she told us what we are going to expect, the stance that she took, and then she solidified with a statement that was not really necessary. Um, the introduction to me wasn't so strong either. And in terms of the 3 points, um, two of the points, point one and three, are basically saying the same thing.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Hmm. All right. Yeah, I think the feedback is fair so far. Yeah. Go ahead. Please continue.
Sorry, I would mention that point of it well. Um, I just took some notes. I'll mention it after. You can go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. Cool. Yeah. So I wanna talk about what's good and what's bad because it's not that it's terrible. We're focusing on the improvements that can be made because that's how you're gonna get better, right? So it's not about, oh, this is great. We have to point out things that can be improved. Um, in today's society, much is being said. The idea of saying, there's a popular notion that I'm gonna tackle. It's a good idea. I've seen it done. I've seen it done well. This is a view that most people have. But have you really thought about it critically? Do you really know what you're saying when you say blah blah blah? Let me realign your perspective. That kind of approach, I welcome that approach. So it's a good technique to start us off. It gets us reflecting on something that we typically say or think without going deeply into why we think that way. So the idea is good. All right. So that's a good thing, Rachel. Good idea there. Well, let's talk about how the paragraph is structured because the paragraph structure here is where I might have a bit of an issue. In today's society, I wouldn't say much is being said that blah blah blah. If you want to say much is being said about, and then you list the name like the issue, much is being said about whether students should serve their country after 1 year or so, then it would be a, a better flow. So much is being said that if all, and I would not actually repeat, word for word the essay prompt here. Because what you're doing, remember, your word limit is 300 words. So when you spend 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, when you spend 12 words just copy and pasting the um the essay question, you're just cutting short how many words you have left to actually write the essay. right? So I would find a way to really crush this into a few words. So I'm not, having a whole sentence just repeating the prompt. I would paraphrase. But despite all the views, and I'm still not sure what all the views are. You haven't told us what all the views are. You just said much is being said that something something. And this is where the essay actually starts. I strongly believe this is where we start getting actual information. I strongly believe that students, let's avoid contractions, should not, or do not need to, or should not be forced to. If you want to be a bit more impactful, spend a 1 year period doing what? Right? So make it clear what you're talking about. Students should not be compelled to waste an entire year serving their country after completing high school. So you want to make an impactful stance and appeal to the emotion or the sense of logic a little bit in your thesis statement. Give your essay a stronger start. And then, yeah, telling me that what this essay will do, I'm not sure if that's super, super relevant. Just get into it, right? This essay will aim to show why students should not spend a 1 year period. So instead of doing this, briefly mention the three reasons you have. So instead of saying this essay will show why students, just give me the three things that you will tackle in the essay. That would be a better use of the space on the page here. All right. So you have some good things going for you here, but you have some things that you need to improve on to create a better intro, because this is not what we would call a solid introduction, right? We want to see a clear hook. I don't really see a strong hook here. Just we would need to rework this to make it into a strong hook. Your thesis statement is clear. Well, almost clear. You would need to this sentence wouldn't end here. Spend a 1 year period, because I'm not sure what the 1 year, I don't know what you're talking about. So that could be clarified. And then instead of saying this essay will aim to blah, 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 list out the 3 points, and then you would have had a better intro. So you want to improve your hook, improve your thesis statement, and instead of scrap this, and give us instead the 3 points. Just not in bullet form, of course, but very, very briefly mention. There are three reasons to support this idea. Blah blah blah, blah blah blah, and blah blah blah. And then you just get into it. All right. So that would give you a more concise and just a more coherent introduction. All right, let's take it to the first body paragraph. I'm curious to see how you develop your points and whether you're able to differentiate between points 1 and 3, because they really sound too close, at least as you have them listed in the planning section. CSEC won't be marking the planning section, so if you develop the points well and they seem different enough, kudos, no problem. All right, first and foremost, a 1 year hyphenated, a 1 year mandatory national service following high school could disrupt the academic and career plans of students. Okay, you start with a very clear point. I hope you defend that point now. Many students have specific career ambitions and educational goals that could be thwarted by a 1 year hiatus. Oh, that's a nice word for a national service. But doesn't this sound a little bit repetitive so far? I'll let the other panelists give us their thoughts. According to tutor Mr. Haynes, all right, I'm happy that you're introducing some kind of authority, but what I would do is make this a bit clearer. What tutor? From where? Who is this Mr. Haynes? Why should I trust him? So you could add a little bit more credibility to your source.
Adam, I'd like
Yes,
to
go ahead.
also add, we need to give Mr. Haynes a first name, right?
Yes, full name.
First and last name, full name.
Yeah. So just saying Mr. Haynes, it doesn't. Nobody knows who you're talking about. Roderick James from the blah blah institute or school. Yeah, something like that. According to such and such person, show that. According to, oh, I thought you were coming with a quotation. Is it a piece of research or is it a quote? I'm not sure. I think show that isn't the right way to link the person to the statistic, right? According to, or is it that Mr. Haynes did some research which showed that something? So make that clear. Yes, go ahead.
I just think she probably made an error and it's just to eliminate the show that, and it will be according to Mr. Haynes, 80% of students have different individual academic and curriculum. And it's just to eliminate the show that completely.
Okay, yeah, it flows well if we get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
So according to that person, 80% of students have different individual academic and career plans, I guess, period. As a result, serving their country for a 1 year period could disrupt their. I think it's a bit the paragraph. I like the point, which is if they serve for a year, it's gonna mess up their plans for you know academic growth or career growth. But I think it's been the whole paragraph just saying that without developing the point through evidence, through examples. This would be a perfect place to drop a little anecdote mentioning someone who took that year off, and because of that, they either missed the chance to get into their dream job, or they fell behind in school, they lost interest in academia. So you could add, I think, at least 3 times you restate the point without actually defending the point. Hmm?
I actually like the use of words, albeit she spelled hiatus wrong. But that's I believe that's not too much of a problem. It's HIA. But I I must say this is going to be a hard thing to do, but I kind of disagree with you, sir, when you said the points she had points, because all she said was it was kind of redundant, because all she said was okay, there will be a 1 year period,
Yeah.
there will be a disruption in the 1 year period, but
Mm-hmm.
how is how is there going to be a disruption? What is going to, oh yeah, we know there's going to be a
Yeah, that's
disruption.
why I said there's a point, but it's not developed because the point
Yeah.
is if you spend a year after school doing that, you're gonna be messed up. You're gonna have that break, that unwelcome break. But what you have to do now, you can't just leave it to my imagination to figure out, okay, how is the disruption? What is the disruption? How is it gonna affect me? Why should I care about it? All of that should be in the paragraph. So the
Yeah.
point is there, but it's not supported. It's just repeated. And repetition is not support.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
felt like a lot of this had circular reasoning and a lot of repetition.
Mm.
And since this side was like to persuade us and to appeal to our emotion, it really didn't do that. So if she's using an example, like you would have said, use an example that make us feel or understand or make us identify with what's going on and why they should not have that gap.
Yes. Yeah. So those are some things to keep in mind. Rachel, you have a good point, but instead of spending the paragraph, just telling us that point in different ways. And even the sort of evidence you drew for is kind of just repeating the same thing that you said. What you want to do is extend the point by adding layers of evidence. Okay. This is how the disruption would occur. You're going to be disrupted because, well, you have there you have one less year to work on your studies. It's going to affect your life in this way. You're going to fall behind, and this is why it matters. And for example, look at this person who spent the year doing the service. Look at how they turned out. Look at his words. Clearly he regrets having done that. So you could be a bit less repetitive, and instead of repeating stuff, add support to the point. So good point, but it's not developed, right? Good point, but not developed. Yeah. All right, Rachel. So you have a good point. Kudos to that, but develop the point by giving us the details. All right, the next your next paragraph here. Furthermore, okay, good transition, I think. 1 year period may affect may affect low income or disadvantaged students who cannot afford to take a year off from pursuing higher education. All right. I think if we're going to hit the point about low income, then we should make it about they cannot afford to. It probably should be business oriented, because pursuing higher education will not give you immediate monetary gain. It won't help your financial situation like right now. It would be a stronger point if the country is forcing you to leave your job, or to not pursue that job and do that instead, and they can't afford to do that because you need the money. That's why I look at it.
This
But I guess in yes.
sorry, this paragraph for me was a bit confusing because this particular part will be low income earner, like you rightfully said, pursuing education while you are studying, you're really not gaining any money, right?
Hmm.
Unless it is a situation where you are being paid a stipend
Hmm.
and that helps the person survive. So they decide, okay, the stipend is something that that's their livelihood. So they can't afford to take a break from higher education. They can't afford to take a gap because they actually depend on that stipend. So if it's a situation like that, then I understand. However, in terms of like taking a break, taking that 1 year gap to work for the government, they will be gaining income. That 1 year will be gaining income unless if it's the government expects you to work back that year without getting paid, which is highly unlikely. So most times, Rachel, when students take a 1 year to work back that 1 year time, the government does pay. All right, it's a
Right.
stipend that they
It's,
offer.
it's not
Yeah.
unpaid usually. It's not free labor for a year. That would be ridiculous, wouldn't it? It's not free labor. So usually you would be compensated. While going to school, you wouldn't be compensated usually.
No,
So the point is,
unless you're getting stipend while you're at
right.
school, if you get a scholarship or something.
And the
Adam, I
stipend
want to
still
add
wouldn't even be as much as the income.
Adam, I want to add something else. She used
Hmm.
80% again. So Rachel, let's use a different probability now. Let's use a
Hmm.
different percentage, right? Because you would have stated in previous paragraph, 80% of students um, have different individual needs or something to that effect. And then you use again 80% of students is financially unstable. So let's use a different statistic.
Yes. So what I probably would do, Rachel, in terms of point development is I would I would okay, that's for that. I would I would make this my point. I would probably say that student, if you want to focus on the money and saying, it's gonna mess up the financial stuff, you would have to make one of two claims. One, the or maybe the main claim that you could make to make this point make sense. Because what I want to do, I don't want to discount your point entirely, because maybe there's a way for it to work if you're passionate about this point. But you couldn't leave it like this, because like this, it sounds as if the government will not be paying you, which they will be paying you. So what if you say students will be cheated out of an opportunity to make more money in a different job? Because if the government is going to force you to work for 1 year for them to serve the country, they're going to give you a particular salary. But what if you would have been able to make double that if you were to go and work on your own, find your own job? Then you will be put at a financial disadvantage by this mandate, because you're going to pay me $100,000 a month, the government, but I could get a job where I can make 200,000 without doing this mandatory foolishness. So you could angle it that way if you want to talk about the finances, but it wouldn't be that studying would be a way to make more money than doing the 1 year program. because you're going to be broke as a student. If you're an average person, you're going to be eating ramen, bread, and peanut butter all day long. That's kind of the lifestyle of most students. When I was at UA, nobody had money. Nobody. We were all broke. We were all poor. That's how it is. It's not a case where you have money coming in, and cashing checks, and you're balling out. No, no, no. So there's not much logic in the claim that it's going to be a financial burden and students should just study instead, because you're not going to make money, right? So many students rely on part-time jobs. Yeah, I would change that point. I would change the 80%, and I would state a source for my statistic. Like, where did you get these statistics? What research? What research? All right. We need more details, more context, and a bit of grammatical stuff as well. At least 80% of students. All right. I won't nitpick any further, but the main thing is the point itself needs to be changed or taken from a different angle. Yeah, that's the main thing. Yeah. Anything else on this paragraph so far? Great.
But I was just thinking, since you mentioned that students um, have to go to part-time jobs to secure themselves. I wasn't really sure about that, but in terms of what you were saying with getting a better offer rather than working for the government, maybe another way that she could angle this particular paragraph is the fact that students can study while working because we can work while we are studying. Well, some universities offer that, so they can work while they're studying, which actually um, they don't have to hinder their studies or give up their studies for 1 year in order to work. So she could probably just put that in there in that paragraph somehow.
Yes, that's another angle that could definitely work. So change this point to one of the following, right? Either talk about how they could get better jobs instead, or how I don't need to take a year off. I can study while working. So you don't need to hinder my studies just to give me a 1 year mandatory job, right? All right, cool. Anything, Ashley? You've been a bit quiet.
No, I say so far though, I think she needs to support her points a little more. And when she's giving like the 80%, and I think I said in the chat, use other numbers just to be more realistic. In the chat above, in the not the chat, in the paragraph above, the say any man name, she didn't really give like, because you can say anybody say anything, but why would I take somebody's word for something? So I think she needed to make that more realistic. But oral, so far the essay is not a horrible essay. She just needs to support her points a little more.
All right. All right. Thank you for those comments, Ashley. All right. We're heading into the last paragraph. Ashley, you have a nice reading voice, don't you? Please take us through the last body paragraph here.
I do apologize if you all don't hear me properly. In addition, some may argue that a 1 year period would promote a greater equality and unity, but let us be real. What percentage shows a 1 year serving the country would promote a greater equality and unity? The vast majority is deeply rooted in academic aspiration, career paths, and getting part-time jobs to provide for themselves. How will this contribute towards serving a country? It obviously cannot.
Well, what do we think?
I did see that she tried to use rhetorical questions, so that was
Mhm.
good. Yeah, the support and details, though, the support, the evidence wasn't there.
I that that paragraph gave me some nostalgic. I was quite nostalgic because she said, "Let us be real." And the people I hear that is from Ashley. I always hear Ashley say, "Let us be real," things like that. So I found that was very
Yeah.
quite, as Miss Linda said yesterday. It was quite informal, like you're talking to your bro on the street. Like, let us be real. Like, you could say, like, probably, let us not be ignorant, or let us not be naive or something, or something of that. But let us be real is like more like TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah, so formalize it. One must think critically about the situation,
Yeah.
right? You can't just say, let us be real. You're not talking to your friends. You're writing an academic essay, so you would want to avoid. I mean, I get the reason for that kind of thing. It's kind of being, showing a little bit of attitude, but you have to show the attitude formally, right? In a formal way. Yeah. Yeah. Period will promote a greater equality. I'm wondering about this, about the point itself, though. Uh,
Yeah,
is
I
there a
was actually
point, or
wondering
is
about.
are there just questions of a point?
Yes, so that's what I was wondering because oh yeah, I was wondering because it had more than one question, but it didn't really, yeah.
All right, we need to move to another essay because we've been here a while. But in general, I think this paragraph is asking more questions than it's answering. Right, we need more solid information. Maybe ask one question to open up, and then answer the question and give us some evidence. All right. All right. Conclusion. In conclusion, while the idea is laughable, enforcing a 1 year period for students to serve the country is not a practical solution. Okay, the while here wouldn't work because if you say while it's laughable, oh, laudable. Sorry, I can't read. That's my bad. Not your fault there, Rachel. That's not laughable at all. So while the idea is laudable, enforcing a 1 year period for students to serve the country is not a practical solution. I like the sentence. I like that it acknowledges that, some persons might think it makes sense, but considering the points we would have discussed earlier, it's not practical. I like the word practical. You're not saying it's a bad idea, it's nonsense. You're just saying it wouldn't actually work feasibly. So I like that word choice. It disregards individual career paths, personal circumstances. I don't get that fragment. It disregards individual career paths and personal circumstances, and cannot something and cannot contribute towards academic aspiration. As such, I firmly stand by my statement that all has okay. The structure of the conclusion is fine. The structure is fine. Um, you've been using lots of very personal pronouns throughout, as well as some of the language haven't been very, very formal. So that kind of takes away from the academic nature of the essay. The conclusion in terms of structure is okay. You restate your stance. I wish you had restated all three of the points that you would have used in the essay, and then you kind of end strongly, by standing by what he said. So the conclusion isn't bad, but the points needed more support in general. All right, Rachel, thank you for submitting this essay. And you are brave, you're courageous. You have submitted it to be reviewed on stream. So congrats, and I'm sure that the feedback will help you to write stronger essays. Yeah. So thank you very much, Rachel. All right. I hope the reviews were detailed enough for you. All right, let me see what's up next. Secondary school students should allow HIV testing without parents' consent. Who is this? Let's check.
That's Tristan Jack.
Yes, Tristan Jack. Is Tristan here? Tristan, you have 5 seconds to declare yourself present. Okay, Tristan is here. So let's get the ball rolling. Ashley, you're today's reader, today's designated reader. Somebody said in the chat, Ashley really does have a nice reading voice. So it's on you, Ashley.
Okay, so the situation of a problem that a lot of persons are facing around the world is the ability for parents to know what is happening in the children's lives. That's the reason why in this essay I will be arguing against the topic that secondary schools should be able to test young persons for HIV without their parents' permission.
Well,
Okay.
Oh, okay, go
Ashley, you're
ahead,
gonna say
Ashley.
something? No, go
No, go
ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead. No, you go
Okay,
ahead.
so the the 3 points we're missing. Um, the hook wasn't bad. Um, I was confused on the what is happening in the children's lives in one sentence with a full stop at the end too. So yeah, but I'm not sure if you could explain. And then still can say, but that's the reason why in this essay I will be arguing against. I guess it was the teacher statement, but it was kind of wasting words at the same time too. But yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I agree with the word wasting. What were you saying, Ajnaya?
Well, I think Ashley said everything that I really wanted to say. So yeah, I'm not gonna make it too long. So yeah, she said what I wanted to say.
All right. Um, let's see. Um, hmm. Where should I start? Where should I start? The situation of a problem is an awkward phrase. The situation of a problem that a lot of persons are facing around the world is the ability. Okay, I understand the point you're making here, and I can understand that this is your hook,
To me, it would
right?
just be better to choose situation or problem. Which one? Situation or problem? Like,
Yeah, I
choose
probably
one.
wouldn't include both words, and I would want to make the hook much stronger. I would want to make this hook much stronger. I don't think this hook is has hooked me.
I think you need to include the what is happening in the children's life as a continuation of that first sentence.
Hmm.
Yeah. And if it was kind of switched around, what is happening in the children's lives could have been in the beginning and it could have possibly made the hook a bit stronger.
But this is just this isn't even a sentence. Now. But I'm not sure what this
I
is doing. I don't know what that
to
is.
me, to be honest, I would
Because
probably
the
start.
statement, the sentence is actually the situation of of a problem that a lot of persons are facing around the world is the ability for parents to know what is happening in the children's life.
Okay,
That's
so
what I interpret it.
that's a typo.
I interpret it as a typo. Am I
Okay, that
correct,
would make
Tristan?
more
Tristan,
sense.
Tristan, you can
Tristan,
comment.
is this all one sentence, Tristan? All right. Tristan has run away. Okay. Oh, yes, it is. It's one sentence. All right. So it makes more sense. But what I would do is I would take this one long sentence, these two sentences, and make it into a more concise and more emotional hook. Imagine being a parent and having no idea what is happening in your child's life, right? So what you want to do is right after it. This sounds too neutral. It sounds like the writer doesn't care about the issue. They're just presenting something that's happening. So you want to make the hook more powerful, right? You want to make the hook more powerful. However, I'm glad you have a hook. It means you're following the structure that I showed you, which is good. That's the reason. This is where we start wasting words. That's the reason why in this essay I will be arguing. What you need to do here is just um, give us your thesis statement. So that's the reason why in this essay I will be arguing against the topic. You're not really arguing against a topic. You might be arguing against a claim or a stance or a notion that secondary school should be able to test. Wait a minute. Are you saying that you are agreeing that they should be able to test without? But the hook situation.
The hook and the thesis statement going against each other.
Yeah, isn't there a contradiction? Or am I seeing it wrong?
Yeah. No, that's actually paying attention. Yeah, it is.
Because you're agreeing that the students should be tested without the parents' consent, but the hook kind of indicates that, well, the hook very much indicates that you think the opposite, that you think the parents should always know what's going on. So which side are you on? I've read your intro and I still don't know where you stand because the hook and the thesis aren't in agreement and you haven't listed 3 points, so I can't use those as a hint as to where you're going. So I don't know what the essay is going to bring.
Adam, I kind of interpret it differently though. Sorry.
Okay.
What I interpret from what he's saying is that because parents don't know what is going on in the children's life, we should test them without the parents' permission. That's how I saw it.
Yeah, but is that what he said? There are. Let me see if I can really. Maybe I'm misreading. There, I will be arguing against
Oh,
the topic that secondary schools should be able to test
okay. I
young
now see the
persons.
issue.
Yeah.
I just see the issue. Okay, I stand corrected.
I'll be arguing against. Okay. I think I think I get what is happening here. You're arguing against the notion that they should be tested without permission. So you're arguing that they should be tested only with permission. Okay. So I think that the negatives kind of trip me off here. I will be arguing against the topic. So what you're saying is you're disagreeing with the view that the students should be tested without the consent. All right. That has to be made much clearer. Right? So you could say something like, I disagree with the notion that under any circumstance, a secondary school student should be tested without the parents' consent. That way, I know that you're supporting parents knowing what's happening. All right. Yeah. So I understand what you're saying now that I've reread it a few times, but I shouldn't have to reread it a few times to understand
Yes,
what
I
you're saying.
agree.
Yeah. So it needs to be made clearer. The hook should be stronger. The thesis should be clearer. All right. All right, Ashley, take us through paragraph 2.
Minors should be able to talk to their parents about what is happening in their lives because they are only minors, which means they are under the age of 18, and parents must have a right to be able to know what their child or children. Although some children believe that they will get in trouble if their parents find out about their status.
What do we think?
So the evidence, number one, and the first sentence was confusing to know what their child or children what.
Yeah,
But
incomplete sentence.
yeah,
What do we think, panelists?
so what does have to do with HIV testing?
All right, let's try to break it down and interpret what's happening. Let's see how we can improve it. Minors should be able to talk to their parents about what's happening in their lives because they're only minors. I mean, this sounds slightly derogatory. You're just a minor. They're only minors, which means they're under the age of 18. It's kind of repetitive because yes, that's what being a minor means, and parents must have a right. So this whole thing here is very repetitive, and you don't need this many words to make this point. I think what the student is saying is something like parents have a right to know exactly what is happening in the lives of their children. Minors are under the or something like minors are under the care of their parents and should not um mm, and the details of their life and their parents should be privy or have a right to be privy to the details of their lives. But I think this is spending too much time saying this, right? Minors should be able to talk to their parents about what's happening in their lives. And
To be
we haven't touched on HIV
to
yet.
be honest,
We haven't touched on HIV yet.
to be
So you've gone yes,
honest,
Ajnaya. Go ahead,
my
Ajnaya.
computer has a terrible lag and I hate it. But anyways, to be honest, a way that I would change this is by saying that my favorite word I love to use. Since children are minors, that's kind of repetitive. Since children are minors, children are always minors, but since children are minors, and it is imperative that their parents or guardians have an idea of what is going on in their lives so that they can better navigate through things or they can better certain things. Okay, I think I'm sticking right now.
No, I'm hearing you. We're
No,
hearing
Okay, okay, cool. Okay, good.
you. Yeah.
So yeah, I believe that would be a better way to go. They can now provide a remedy to it. So if they don't know, like yeah,
I think he has 2 points in one paragraph, but the points that he's making still needs to link to the question that is being asked. So one of the points that he has is that the children are minors. So they should require their parents' permission in order to get tested because they are minors. They can't give consent and we can't force them. And the next point that he has here is that um, by forcing this on kids, we are actually closing the gap. Not closing the gap, but we are creating a gap between the relationship that the children have with their parents and being able to have that open communication that they can talk to their mom or their dad. So he has 2 points here, but it's not well stated. And in addition to that, it does not link to HIV. So even though he has the points, like okay, for minors, he has to state that permission should be granted from the parents in order for the minors to be tested for HIV. And he has the next point of creating that disconnect between the communication with parents and the children, right? He should
Mhm.
link it back to HIV as well.
Yes, yeah. So the entire paragraph has not mentioned HIV, which is a problem,
Mhm.
right? You have two tangential points, but no connection is made to the actual stance you have taken. And I'm wondering if this is a counterpoint, although some children believe that they will get in trouble if their parents find out. That being tacked on at the end doesn't really support the thing about minors very much. So you could focus on the fact that look, they're minors and they cannot give consent, just as a minor cannot give consent for other things. Why would you think they would be able to give consent to for HIV testing? And you can mention on how it's not ethical. You mention the legality of it. You mention how parents would feel, learning that their right to information about their children's lives is being taken away. So these would be points that you could relate back to the HIV, but you have to bring it back to the testing. You can't just state something and not mention how it connects to the HIV testing. Right? Right? All right. Let's see what's happening in the next paragraph. Ashley, run it.
My next point is that if parents are able to know what is happening in their children's lives, they will be able to give support, because at the end of the day, a child should not have access to the healthcare system without the supervision of an adult. Additionally, they do not fully understand the effects that HIV virus has on the body. Research shows that some parents are delinquent and do not seek the best interests of the children. So I'll go first. Starting
Mm-hmm.
with my next point, you didn't need to put that as recent words. What
All right, let's
research?
let's avoid personal pronouns, especially since it's not even
Yeah.
necessary here. Yeah.
What research? And the first sentence was a bit long as well.
Um, I think this paragraph is better than the previous one in terms of making a clear point. If Yeah, so find another way to introduce it instead of that. If parents are able to know what is happening in their children's life, they will be able to give support. So yeah, this idea about giving support, they should know what's happening so they can support the child. The child needs support. That's a good point. They should not be able to access healthcare system without supervision of an adult. That's another good point. So you've made two good points, but did you support them? I wonder. Additionally, nice transition, good. They do not fully understand the effects. That it, I'm wondering if you're trying to add too many points. So adding new points isn't the same as supporting your points, right? Adding new points isn't the same thing as supporting your points. You lack evidence here. You say research shows, but as Ashley says, what research? Tell me, who did the research? What did the research conclude? Why is the research relevant? Why is the researcher credible? I don't know any of that. So I don't know if the research was done in your mind or in your dream. You have to tell us more about, what this research is, right? So the research, it could be qualitative um research where like interviews were done with parents and the parents said this or that, or you could give some quotes from some of the parents. This is what they said, a survey was done. So you need more details with the research. And then I'm wondering, this point about the parents being delinquents and do not seek the best interest, how does that connect to everything else? How does that relate to everything else? Yeah, I'm not seeing how the final sentence flows from the other sentences. Anything else on this paragraph from the panel? No. So the paragraph has within it two ideas that are valid. One is that the children need support from their parents, and if they're being tested without parental consent, they might not have that support. And two, the children shouldn't be able to access certain healthcare systems without parental consent anyway. So if you could support those instead of adding, like tacking on the thing about delinquent parents, that would have been better. Spend the time talking about the research and what it means. Yeah.
Adam,
Yeah.
I just want to add to what you would have stated to Tristan. So Tristan, the idea is to have good points and develop it rather than create a wealth of points, all right? So you're not going to get marks for just creating like 10 different points randomly and just dropping it in your sentence. The point that you have in that particular paragraph, you build on it, you explain it, you would have given examples, right, so that you'll be able to strengthen that particular point, right, by use of evidence, by use of examples. So try not to put too many points in one paragraph. You have one point, you just going to explain on that point, right? And the next thing is, Tristan, when you are writing your essays, always look back at your questions because we are seeing a lot of evidence here where you just got a little carried away with creating points and you're not linking it to the question that is being asked of you, right? So when you analyze your question, the question asks specifically about consent without about HIV testing without consent from parents. Look back at your question and always link your points to the question that is being asked of you.
Yes. Point, illustrate, explain. That's Rivaldo's method, and it's good. It's good. It's good. You need a point. You need to explain a point. You need some examples, and you need to make sure that that point is clearly connected to your stance and to your other points. All right, Tristan. All right, Ashley, run it, please.
My last point is that if parents don't know what is going on with their children, it can cause withdrawal from family members because some children can go into a depressing mood, while some will not be able to fully understand the reason for taking an HIV test and consider taking a HIV test a bad thing.
Hmm.
So it have
Hmm.
grammatical errors in it.
Hmm.
Um, have no evidence or support it. Well, it kind of does, but not really. And yeah,
Hmm. Anything else from the panel?
Just the transitional words. I feel like you need more elevated vocabulary and stronger transitions so that your paragraph are a little more smooth. It runs smoother into one another. All right.
Mm-hmm. Tristan, watch my videos on transitional words and phrases. I have a couple of videos on that and a long live stream. Watch that, and you'll be able to incorporate some of those into your essay for better flow. Yeah. We want to avoid contractions like don't. We want to avoid language that is just too. It's not really at a high school level, like saying that something is a bad thing. It's very vague language. Um, if parents are unaware of what is happening in their children's lives, would be like a better way to say this. It could cause withdrawal from family members because so the withdrawal and depression, that's a good point. That's a good point. If children are being tested without their parents' consent, the parents don't know what's happening, the child gets a positive result, but the positive result in this case would be a negative impact, right? Then that child could develop um they could become withdrawal, they could become detached from their parents because it's like they're keeping this secret now, and it could affect their relationship, it could affect a number of things. And of course, it would also connect to the point you mentioned earlier, that the parents wouldn't be able to support the child if they don't know what's happening in the child's life. So you could focus on that and develop that. I think here you could use a nice little anecdote where and talk about a case in which a child was tested without the consent, and because of that, they became withdrawal. They started acting out. They even resented their parents because they felt as if their parents were not supporting them, and of course, the parents could not support not having known. So you could develop the point with one or two persuasive techniques. You could indicate some evidence here. There's no evidence. You could drop in something that a psychologist says about this, since you're talking about kind of like a mental health issue, the withdrawal. You could mention that, psychologist, blah, blah, blah. Um, just mention something about, just give me evidence that this is going to cause withdrawal, right? Because it sounds like this is just your opinion and it's not really grounded in scientific evidence or study. So evidence would be another main thing here that we need to see. All right, take us through the conclusion, Ashley. Let's wrap this up.
As I conclude with my arguments, I firmly believe that parents must have a say in their child or children's lives because minors will not be able to handle certain things on their own. And the education system should not have HIV testing done on a school compound.
Yeah, so the conclusion is at a similar level to the other paragraphs. I can As I conclude, the introductions to your paragraphs aren't necessary. Just give us a nice transition and move into the point. Parents must have a say in their children's lives. Not sure that's capital L. Certain things, be more specific. Bring it back to the HIV testing and the education system. The education system isn't a school. So saying the education system shouldn't have HIV testing done on a school I don't know. It sounds like the conclusion could be made better if there were stronger and clearer points made. So we couldn't really fix the conclusion here because the conclusion is based on the essay, and the essay itself needs some work, right? Yeah. Any final thoughts on the
So
conclusion and on the essay?
it's it's very interesting that you keep on forgetting or playing a blind eye to that one specific grammatical error that I don't know how you keep on missing, and it
No,
is the comma
Really,
before because I that's like the second time you missed that error.
I
in
don't
this
think it's
in
a
this
matter of
essay,
missing it.
hmm, I am all right. So how should I put this? I don't want to I don't want Tristan to think I'm dunking on his essay too much. But when there are a number of like levels of errors, I don't even focus on the grammar too much because that is like finishing touches stuff. So if the essay has like strong points and so on, then I'm
Mm.
able to nitpick on the grammar. But because like the structure is a lot of work and the points, I want to focus on missing commas and subject verb agreement because there's bigger fish to fry in this essay, essentially. Of course, we could go through and talk about the missing commas and, see, I didn't even mention um, there's some subject verb agreement issues, some capitalization issues, some fragments, but I mean, you can talk about those, but I think the first step is to get the points straight, right? We can't put paint on a house that isn't yet built. The grammatical stuff and the commas and so on, for me, that's like the paint on the house. So it's not that I'm not noticing those. It's not that I'm saying those errors aren't important to fix, but um, you know, I'm seeing kind of bigger, more structural problems. But we can talk about the grammar as well, Ajanaya. So what errors do you think you would want to point out for Tristan to
Well,
fix?
it's to be honest, time may be a little problem, but I think I there's not that much that I really that can really be said. Like I really have to go and nitpick and stuff, which I don't really. I've nitpicked enough, and overall, I think the main problem with this essay is that it was all over the place. To be honest, it was left, it was right, it was up, it was down. I saw zero proper organization and structure. However, I do like some of the ideas The ideas are there. I definitely see some ideas, just not as well developed. But the ideas are there. So I just believe once you just throw in some sources to substantiate your ideas and develop your ideas, you'll be all right. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think Ashley wraps it up nicely with his comment. You need to choose 3 points, stick with them, and get evidence to support them, right? And I kind of also see where you try to incorporate too many points in some of the paragraphs. Have 1 point in each paragraph and make sure you support that point well with evidence. All right, so Tristan, thank you for sending this in. You're a brave soul. You're courageous, and you definitely are trying to improve. That's why you would have sent this in. So don't view our feedback negatively. Just take from this the different ways in which you can improve, the different ways in which you can, write a star essay. All right, Tristan. So big up yourself. Good job on the effort. Good job on the effort. And you do have some good points. I want to make sure that you know that. But point development, evidence, those are critical things that you're kind of missing in the essay. All right, let's run it. Let's run it.
I wonder if you
Okay.
have. I wonder if Rivaldo is doing CXC because I saw him in the chat. I would love to see his essay if he even sent in one. I don't know if he did.
I'm not sure. But anyway, who wrote this one? Let me check the files to see. It's not Michael, it's not Krishna. Turner. Oh, this is Chad Abbott.
To be honest, I'm excited to see this one.
Really? Why is
Yeah.
that?
I don't know because this is one name I remembered from yesterday's stream, and I think you said he was from
Eh,
Barbados. So yeah, just stood
okay.
out.
All right. Well, Ashley, you know your job. Run it.
Okay. Do you think our community would benefit from more crimes? Well, abolishing school rules is a detriment to our impressionable youth. This would cause a surge in bullying and isolation in schools, a gradual increase in criminal activity, and less responsible adults.
All
This
right. Chad, what is the question? I'm sorry, you didn't submit the question. What is the essay question?
Is
Is it about the abolition of school rules? It was. Okay, so this is about giving your views on whether school rules should be abolished.
uh,
2014 school
this
call.
I can already tell that this guy is
Hmm, this guy is what?
huh.
I'm bringing
oh
up the
yeah. There's
paper.
a little lag. There's a little lag on my end. I was just saying that this guy is good because now he has me looking for words in a dictionary now with his impressionable. So that's
Really
I think that's a good
impressionable.
thing.
Says what
Yeah,
Ajna does not know a word.
Uh, all right, I found the
yeah.
question.
I had to look up.
All right, let me write. Let's write the question here above the thing. School rules violate the personal freedom of students and should be abolished. Write an essay giving your views. So basically, give your views. Okay, so this is what we're working with. School rules violate the personal uh, freedom of students and should be abolished. Write an essay giving your views on this. All right, Ashley. Ashley, you already read the first paragraph, right?
Yes, sir.
What do we think about it?
The vocabulary is up to form 5 level. Um, he did list the 3 points at the end. The hook wasn't bad. The teacher statement, but it was good overall.
Yeah, to be honest, I find it was good too. However, I'm seeing some things. Okay, first of
Yeah.
all, um, the well abolishing school rules is a determinant to our impressionable youth. I like the word impressionable, but starting it with well, like I don't know, but I don't really like the way it started. I don't know if it's wrong or not. I'm not
Mm,
saying it's wrong or correct. I'm just saying that I just don't like the way it was started. I would more say like for this reason or henceforth or something like that instead of well abolishing school rules is a determinant. That's just my personal preference.
yeah, the world is a bit too conversational, but the hook here.
Adam,
Yes, go ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that I think it's suitable because of the hook, because he is speaking directly to us. Do you think
Mm,
our community would benefit from more crimes? And then he continued, well, so because he made it personal and speaking directly to us, I think
hmm.
it's appropriate.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Watching school rules is a detriment. Um, is the rhetorical question strong enough? Do you think our community would benefit from more crimes?
I don't think so, to be
How would
honest.
we strengthen this to make it more impactful? Ashley, what would you ask instead?
So I don't have an idea, but I don't think it was showing up.
Ajana, how could you strengthen this?
Okay, I I don't really like rhetorical questions at the starting, but I would try to do it. I would say more something like, do you want to, like, I like the word birth. Do you want to birth forth criminals in our society? Or like, the abolition of school rules is for sure a path down to destruction and the life of criminal behavior or something like that. Like, I don't know, but
All right.
I don't like rhetorical questions at the starting. I just do not like
Okay.
rhetorical questions.
Just
I
But
can do it in the middle, but not at the starting.
it is one of the ways that we can use a hook. So to be fair to the child, he did try.
yeah.
I'm not
I'm
saying
not.
it's
I'm not.
wrong. I'm not saying
Yeah,
it's
it's just his
wrong.
preference. Just his preference. All right. So, do you think our community would benefit from more crimes? The question sounds a little passive. I like the idea of the question, and it kind of causes us to reflect on whether we could really think this is a good thing. Um, um, well, I might get back to a way to make it a little bit stronger soon.
To be
Well,
honest,
abolishing. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right there, I do not mind a rhetorical question. It's okay, but I'll put in some
Mm-hmm.
statistics from like a guy saying about how rules equal normal behavior and lack of rules equal delinquent behavior. I'll join that correlation and make it sound fancy and just get that attention there, right there. I
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I would use like a quote from a philosopher or something, to introduce it. But that's my preference. He is rhetorical questions. So
All right. All right. I won't be overly critical about the question because it's not a bad question and it does cause me to reflect on, do I really want to see more crime? Is this something I want to see? So even though my wording might be different, it's not that this wording is wrong, right? Because writing is also subjective, isn't it? So do you think
Adam,
our community, oh, go ahead, Miss Berkeley.
sorry. So I don't have anything against the question. I think it's fine because, like you said, it makes us reflect.
Hmm.
However, the line that immediately follows should link to
Yes.
that question.
That is the main issue I have.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you kind of have two hooks instead
Yeah,
of
it gets
one
struck to an
flowing
yeah.
right. So do you think our community would benefit from more crimes? Well, by abolishing school rules, or abolishing school rules would result in a higher crime rate. So
Right.
whatever comes after the well, it has to be answering the question of the hook. Whether directly or indirectly, you have to be answering that question instead of coming up with like another sideways point, right? Because you're saying it's a detriment, but what you really should do is link it to the crime, right? Or make the hook more general, or merge these two and create one like a different question. For example, how can one think that eliminating rules would contribute to the order in society or something like that? If you want to use a question that directly relates to uh, personal freedom and the abolition of school rules. But for right now, the hook is okay. It's a fine question, but the follow up isn't strongly connecting to the hook.
Yeah.
That's my
So
main
like
problem.
even if you want to connect it, like the sentence is fine, but you can add to it. So, while abolition school rules is a detriment to our impressionable youth, leading to higher crime or more crime or something that links it
Hmm.
back to the crime. You can just drop it right there.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just the connection. The connection is kind of lacking a little bit, and this
one
would yes, Ajanaya.
one thing I'm seeing though, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's just me, but I'm looking up the word impressionable and it means easily influenced.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about school rules. And we're talking about easily influenced. I do not see the correlation between the two really.
Really?
I don't know because school
Hmm.
rules, I don't see the correlation between school rules and being easily influenced.
Hmm.
Ajanaya, I
Okay.
remember students spend most of their life at school. So if there's no rules and they are, like we say in Trinidad, they are permitted to run amok, then the well-behaved students will actually start to be influenced by the more ill-mannered students, right?
Yeah.
So that's exactly what impressionable youth is saying, that they are at the age that they can be influenced by the good and the bad in society.
Yeah, and on the flip side, if if children learn to obey school rules because their minds are impressionable, they will develop discipline and order, harmony. All of those things will be inculcated because if you learn it from early, it will
Mm,
be ingrained into your system when you get older. So because your mind is impressionable, this is the time when you need to learn discipline. This is when you need the rules the most, right? But if you're questioning it, Ajanaya, it means it could have been a bit clearer. That's
okay.
what I always say. If someone finds something a little confusing, it probably means there would have been room to make something a little bit clearer. That's kind of a general rule. All right, so this would cause a surge. A surge, nice word. Thank you. Good vocabulary. This would cause a surge in bullying and isolation in schools, a gradual increase in criminal activity, and less responsible adults. Less responsible, more irresponsible. Okay, I guess they're both similar enough. All right, so you have a hook, Um, you have okay, so I guess this is your thesis. Abolishing school rules is a detriment or would be detrimental to our impressionable youth. I guess that's what your stance is. And then you give us your 3 points. So in terms of structure, your intro is good. You have a hook, you have the thesis, you give us 3 points. So structurally, you're fine here. It's
I
just
do have
that
an issue with adults.
yes, go ahead, go ahead.
I have an
Mr. Clerk.
issue with just dropping in adults there. Because we're talking about school age children, we're talking about students and their personal freedom. And then he just drop in less responsible adults. So it should
Hmm.
have like, it should develop into adulthood rather than just say lead into a life of crime and less responsible adults. Um,
Hmm.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I have an issue with adults just dropping in there.
Yeah. And another thing about the points is the prompt reads school rules violate the personal freedom of
Personal
students, which
freedom.
means the points should actually not just center about why rules are important, but they should connect to how the rules impact the freedom, the autonomy of students. So these points are kind of general points about school rules and why we need them, but they're not really focusing on how they relate to personal freedom. So I'd prefer to see 3 points that are more connected because remember you're writing an essay on the prompt. I'd like to see 3 points that are more connected to okay, freedom would be infringed in these three ways, or freedom would not be infringed, or freedom would actually be promoted if we include rules because without rules you'll find a way to link it, but you have to make sure that the personal freedom aspect is not forgotten about in the whole essay, right? Because some people are saying that the rules violate the freedom. If you have rules, you're not free. So you should either be for or against that. Do you think that school rules create an oppressive system? If you do, give us 3 reasons why. Do you think that school rules do not infringe on your freedom, but maybe instead school rules help you to be free? Because look at it this way: if there are no rules, then somebody is free to punch you in the face. Is that freedom? Are you free in a place where anybody can do anything to you? That's not freedom. So you have to take a stance and connect it to the freedom. I'm not seeing where you're focusing on the personal freedom. I see where you're just focusing on the rules and how that might impact society overall.
Yeah,
So I think
I
you could
agree.
zone in on the focus of the essay.
I agree, Adam. Also, one of the things that I did notice is that he just went straight to crime, basically. And remember, school rules, it's not only about no bullying and these things, but also proper attire, wearing
Mm-hmm.
a proper school shoes. Like, for instance, for us in Trinidad, I know this is not the case with all Caribbean countries, but most schools, if you have black shoes, it must be all black, must not have a tick on it or anything like that. Even like the hairstyles that young girls wear, wearing of hijabs, like all these things, school rules impact those things and not just so much bullying and crime. So it's a lot of discipline that comes into it,
I
not just in terms of crime and bullying and fighting, but also how you carry about yourself, punctuality, how you dress, how you attire yourself to school, all those things could have been mentioned here in terms of personal freedom, right? Um, Boys may not be able to wear long hair at school, right? That is also a personal choice, right? So I just think that some of these points could have been highlighted rather than jumping straight to crime.
I I actually, I find that's a very good point because that's so true that school really doesn't only prepare you for like it's not only about crime and stuff. It also relates to like your attire for the workplace and all that. And the amount of times, oh my gosh, the amount of times my school had to send me home for long hair and stuff, and and not having the proper shoes or pants or something. So I totally agree with that. That it's really about, from curbing the students for the future, and not only for like crimes and stuff.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that when you look at the prompt itself, because it would have stated explicitly violate personal freedom, that's the target there. That is what we need to focus on, you know?
Right. So it needs to be more focused. So imagine a hook like this. Imagine a world of lawlessness and chaos. Imagine a world where you cannot walk the streets. Is this your idea of personal freedom? And then are you connected to, let's not think that, rules are there to stop us from being free. That's basically the idea you want to bring forward in your introduction. The rules are not infringing on our freedom. It's really, it's training us to be free in a world where there are structures, there are rules, and we can't just do whatever we want. So you would need to link both the hook and the thesis. Well, you need to link the hook, the thesis, and the 3 points to the idea of personal freedom, and how that connects to school rules. Yeah. So these points do not really get into the freedom aspect. But let's get into it though. We have to move much faster than this if we're gonna be on time. Ashley, run it please.
To begin with, rules and regulations in schools create safety and order within the compound and allow socially inept students to feel secure. Removing this anchor would allow for bullies and mischievous children to pick on them with zero repercussions and would drastically affect the victims' mental stability and well being. Studies reveal that 15% of bully victims in schools take their lives each year. Removing rules would boost that percentage.
Wow. If only these points connected to the prompt more strongly. Because this is a wonderful paragraph. I like this paragraph.
Same. I do, and I do love the evidence that he provided.
You know what? If I could change this prompt to suit your essay, right? If I could reword the prompt for you, I think your essay would probably be masterful. But unfortunately, going throughout the essay, you're always gonna have that issue of not targeting the personal freedom aspect. But let me judge the paragraph for what it is. Right? You have a transition here to begin with. Rules and regulations in schools create safety and order within the compound. And I like your vocabulary here. And allows socially inept, right? Not all students are really very sociable, and not all students are outspoken. Some are a bit more awkward, a bit more reserved. But it allows even those students to feel secure because of the rules. Rules are in place, so they know that others can't just come and punch them in the face. Removing this anchor, very nice piece of vocabulary there, because the rules are acting as an anchor that really holds everything down. It's a nice use of metaphor as well. Removing this anchor would allow for bullies and mischievous children to pick on them with zero repercussions. I'm wondering if this sounds a little bit too colloquialish with zero repercussions, but maybe it's just personal style, and would drastically affect the victim's mental stability and well-being. Studies, more credibility could have been had here if you tell me where the studies are from or who conducted the studies. Studies reveal that 15% of bully victims in schools take their lives each year. Full stop. Removing rules or abolishing rules would boost something like a positive word. So find a synonym that has a more negative connotation. That percentage. All right. I think your paragraph flows well and it has good vocabulary. It's just the points I have a little issue with. What do we think? on the panel?
I think that the elevated vocabulary is amazing. I love his use of vocabulary. His transitional words are really well used. However, he kind of missed the prompt for me. That
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that personal freedom. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, baby. Yeah. So he kind of missed the prompt there, but if was not for that prompt, this essay would have
Hold on,
been.
hold on. Oh, go ahead, Miss Berkeley. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You can go ahead and mute. You can mute. It wasn't for the prompt. It would have been really well written. It's good. It's really good. They just missed the personal freedom aspect of the prompt, which is actually what the question is asking. Yeah. So who was the person prompt we were reading again? I can't remember the name. Chad. Chad. Is it Chad? Is it Chad? So Chad, this is really good. Just pay attention to when you analyze the prompt itself. Um, you have to nitpick at it and see what the question is really asking. They're asking about the personal freedom of the children. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, some good feedback there. And welcome, Anselm. Anselm is here with us now. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, man. Welcome, welcome, welcome. All right. Ashley, take us through the next paragraph, please.
Secondly, without Secondly, without rules and consequences to breaking them, students will grow up believing that they are free to do whatever they please. This can result in many of the student body to evolve into criminals in society, endangering the public. This would also turn this would also in turn lessen the number of employed personnel due to some, if not most students, if not most students not passing classes, as many students hand in assignments because they are required. Admittedly, not all students are irresponsible or lax, and may still grow up to be respectable citizens and contributing members of society while being mature. But in general, most students enjoy having fun and do not yet understand the importance of rules and education.
All right. I think what we can kind of call it for this essay, because what we'll be doing is we'll be analyzing more paragraphs that don't really connect to this thing about personal freedom. The individual paragraphs are written well, generally. The vocabulary is fine and so on, but we are not really seeing an essay that deal with personal freedom. We're seeing an essay that deals with why we need rules in general, why we need school rules in general, right? So I hope there will be a chance, Chad, for us to see the revised version of this essay where you just align the points to fit the prompt. All right. So that's the main thing with this essay. You're writing. If this would have been one of the best essays over the past couple of sessions if it was aligned to the prompt. But because of that, we're gonna just have the same issue with every paragraph coming up. Sorry. So let's
I have
call
one more
call it
comment.
on that. Yes,
I
Miss
have
Burke.
another. I have another comment. I don't know if I missed it. Kind of in and out. Sources of authority, Chad. Like you did not quote any. I'm looking at the essay. Sorry, that's why I'm looking at. I'm sorry, like I'm distracted. So I did not see any sources of authority to strengthen your essay. Um, and no examples as well. Did I see any examples? Was there any other?
Yeah, I think there's a lack of evidence indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So evidence. would be needed in each paragraph,
Yeah.
right? So in here you mentioned that studies reveal,
But
more
what
on
studies do?
what studies. In the next paragraph, I'm not sure if I'm seeing anything like that at all. And here I'm not seeing anything like that. So you need more evidence as well, right? So would the student pass? I mean, I think even though the writing is good, the student would not get
Full marks. Mm-hmm.
enough marks in terms
Mm-hmm.
of content wise. So the grade would be subpar, even though the writing itself isn't bad. That would be just an unfortunate thing, because if you write a brilliant essay not answering the question, then you can't get marks, right? You just can't get the marks. So the marks for expression and grammar, the student would be able to get some marks there, but the marks in terms of the organization of the points and so on, you just wouldn't get you wouldn't be able to get anything good because you're not answering the question. That is just the baseline problem,
I'm
right?
seeing a
That
comment. I'm seeing a comment. As a teacher, I would like to know how to treat with this. Could you clarify, please? Treat with what exactly? Like how to grade it or how to improve it? I'm not sure.
I guess it's how to grade an essay
How
that's
to
well
grade?
written but doesn't answer the question.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So based on the rubric, there will be sections where the student would be able to get some marks for expression, but also there would be um, points on the rubric where the student wouldn't be able to get marks because they are not answering the question. So the points would not be very relevant to the prompt, right? I mean, at least these points kind of relate because they do talk about school rules, but the whole prompt has to be considered. Personal freedom has to be considered as well.
Yeah, because if you're
So
looking at this from a holistic point of view, this can just sum up into just one point. Um,
yes,
one point that it can lead to crime, and that's just one, right?
yeah, and even that point wouldn't be super strong when the essay should be about personal freedom. You'd have
Right.
to link the crime to freedom somehow, and I mean, literally, they would lose their freedom if they go to prison or stuff. I don't know how you would link it, but it has to be about whether or not the school rules violate personal freedom. So in terms of this particular essay, it wouldn't. It's good writing, but it couldn't be a passing grade because if you don't answer the question, you can't pass. That's just an unfortunate reality.
Mm-hmm.
But so if a student were to go into the exam now, and let's say on question A, they write a wonderful summary, but they're not summarizing the passage. Question B, they write a perfect letter, but they're not really answering the question. Section C, they write a good story, but they haven't acknowledged the prompt. Section D, they write a brilliant essay, not acknowledging the prompt. Then that student would be a brilliant writer with a grade 5 or a grade 4, right? That would be a good writer, but they just wouldn't be able to pass because it's not just about how well you put words together, it's about answering the
Answering the
question, right?
question. Mm-hmm.
Your points must relate to the question. And that is actually why sometimes weaker writers end up with kind of good grades, because even though their vocabulary might not be great and their expression might not be so good, they actually have good points and they actually answer the question. So we need to check both boxes. We need the good vocabulary and good grammar and good flow, kind of like what this essay has. But you also need the points that are relevant. We need to relate the points to the question. If you're not hitting both, you just can't get an excellent grade, right? Because in general, CXC is looking at two like broad things: content and expression, right? The content is about what are you writing, the expression is how are you writing it. So if the what you're writing isn't good, that's half of your marks just gone just like that. So yeah, a bit of a miss with the prompt. I think you just misinterpreted the prompt. And that's why it's so important to read the instructions and the prompt many times and make sure you know exactly what the essay should be about. Yeah. All right. We
Mm.
won't belabor this too much. So, Chad, you're a good writer. You're a good writer, but you just made the unfortunate mistake, the big mistake of not interpreting the prompt correctly. All right. All right. Good writing, bad points. That's what it comes down to. All right. Who is up next? Who is up next? Well, Miss Compton, I would have to reference the mark scheme to see how many points the student would be able to get just for like the sentence structures and stuff like that. It wouldn't be a passing grade though, but you know, I don't know. It's just unfortunate. I remember when I was in grade 9, I wrote a wonderful essay in was a religious education class, and man, I banged it out. I the essay was stellar, but I didn't answer the question. I wrote an essay on something completely different. I misread the question, and I wrote a perfect essay answering a different question. And the teacher didn't know what to do with me. The teacher was like, "Boy, Adam, this essay is good enough, great enough, but how can I give you a passing grade when you didn't answer the question?" So it's that kind of predicament that we don't want to find ourselves in. Yeah. All right, where are we? Social media's effect on children. Is this right here? This is Michael Irving. Yes, very sad, very disappointing when that happens. Make sure that doesn't catch you in the exam, guys. Read your prompts well. Plan your essay around the prompt. In fact, while writing the essay, double check the prompt after every paragraph. Just keep checking the prompt. Am I on track? Am I on track? Is this relevant? Is this relevant? Keep on checking the prompt. Make sure you don't stray away and end up answering a different question entirely. Is Michael Irving here? If not, we'll move on to the next one on the list. No, Michael? All right, we scroll along. Sorry, Michael. And this looks like a good essay. Michael, are you sure you're not here? Where are you? I see a yes. Does that mean that Miss Williamson, thanks for being here. Does it mean that Mike Michael is Michael is here? Ah, Michael is here. Nice. Very good. So I guess Michael is one of your students. All right, let's run it. Ashley, take on your role, please.
The more social media we have, the more we we think we're connecting, yet we are really disconnecting from each other. A words once said by JR. Therefore, it is only logical that they put a halt to their over reliance on these online networks. The use of these platforms has ultimately resulted in cyberbullying, addictive behaviors, and has affected academics.
All right, Ashley, what do you think?
Oh, to be honest, I think this intro was really, really good. Like, I really
Really?
like, yeah.
all right, cool. All right, cool,
I
cool,
like the
cool.
fact that he had everything. I
Yeah,
like the 3 points
structurally it's good.
and the thesis statement. That's what made it for
Mhm.
me.
JR. Who is JR?
Good question.
That
And
is true.
what is his work like? What does he do?
I
Yes,
Yeah.
don't
Miss.
know. You'll have to ask Michael. Only Michael knows
So,
JR. It's
so
a secret.
Michael, we need to know JR as well, and we need to know like what is his work, right?
Yeah. So let's start from the prompt. What do you think about his prompt? Besides the JR stuff,
Yeah.
what about the quote?
Um, it's 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 not it's an interesting way of saying the more social media we have. That's a very interesting way of saying things. I'm not saying it's wrong, but I'm saying like social media is it sounds, I don't know, but it sounds very interesting. That's the first time I hear someone says that the more social media we have, it's like, to me it's just an interesting way of
Mm,
saying the we have more TikTok or we have more YouTube or
mm,
something like that. But I wouldn't use that way of expressing it.
mm.
I wouldn't use that way of expressing it. Or I would say the prevalence of
As
social media, something, but the more social media, I don't know.
Ashley
That's
said,
just how I.
the more access to social
Yes, if
media.
we keep it simple, we could just say
Yeah.
the more access.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I love.
also,
Mhm. Go ahead, Achinaya.
I don't know if this person is Jamaican, but I can hear the I can hear the accent in halt. The way
Oh
I don't know, but
yeah.
I can hear the accent in it. But I know that's how halt is spelled.
How do you spell it?
H-A-U.
How do you spell halt, Achinaya? Let's know your spelling.
I think it's supposed to have a U.
Are you
Halt.
in halt? Interesting.
I don't
Very
know. I could
interesting,
be wrong.
Ajna.
I could be wrong, but
You are wrong.
Mm.
to
I mean,
me it
my
looks funny in my eyes.
check the
Okay, probably
dictionary.
I
Check the
am, and I
dictionary.
can accept that.
All right, cool. Yeah, my halt doesn't have a U. If yours have a U, then I mean,
I will check it, but yeah, I will check it.
all right. Sometimes some words just look weird for some reason. That happens. I remember at one point I spent like 5 minutes trying to spell what, WHAT. My mind just froze. I was doing maybe a test or an exam, and I was stuck like, what? WHAT? That looks so weird. Is the W right? And I mean, it happens. We glitch out sometimes. Um, I like the idea of the quote. I really like the idea of, we think we're connecting, but actually we're just being more and more isolated. Staying inside on our phones. I don't know if I would structure the quote like this. It could be a bit more succinct, a bit more profound, but I love the idea. I love the idea behind it. I might say something like, the more friends, the more we chase friends on Facebook, the more friendships in our real lives disappear, or something like that. I would just try to make it a bit more profound sounding, but I like the idea that, we think we're connecting on social media, but it's not really giving us that connection. I want to see how this prompt, I'm not sure what prompt this is. What question are you answering? Let's know, Michael. Type out the prompt in the chat. I want to see, because it says your social media's effect on children, and the prompt talks about connecting. So I want to see how this relates now to the points. So Michael, tell us what question you're answering. All right. So, but I like the irony that you are introducing in the prompt. That's nice. Can't see the words. If you can't see the words, just turn up the quality on your device. Press the gear icon and click 1080p. All right, so this is the question. The use of social media. Let me write the question up here. The use of social media is negatively affecting the lives of young people. Write an essay giving your views. Okay. All right. So let's see where the prompt leads. So these are words said by JR. We definitely don't want this JR to remain as JR. We want to spell out the name and then tell us who JR is. By John Roberts, a who is he? A psychologist, an author, I don't know, an educator. So tell us more about JR. Therefore, wouldn't necessarily be the best transition because it's not as if because someone said this we can now draw a conclusion or there's no cause and effect, right? Somebody said something um that doesn't require therefore, you know. Yeah, therefore is like this happens and because this happened as a result. So that's not what's happening here. It is only logical that they put a halt to their who is they. I don't know. Who is there? I don't know. So clarify um, who these pronouns refer to. That they put a halt to their over reliance, shouldn't be two words, on these online networks. The use of these platforms has ultimately resulted in cyberbullying, addictive behaviors, addictive behaviors, I would say addictions instead, and has affected academics. So I like your outline of your 3 points. I've outlined the 3 points. As for the thesis, which I'll put in pink, I need to know exactly who did they refer to. Right? It's only logical that they put a halt to their over reliance. Blah blah blah. All right, let's see how the body paragraphs develop. Ashley, go ahead, please.
To begin with, children who use social media are often targeted by their friends and especially online strangers. 65% of global adults have stated that their children have experienced cyberbullying through the use of Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, and more. Studies show that countless cyberbullies acquaint their victims with the painful experience of being bullied online because these bullies happen victims themselves. In addition, the newer victims will do the same, resulting in a repeated cycle of abhorrence.
Ooh, abhorrence. Okay, what do we think about this paragraph?
I like the 65% to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
It was good. The transitional words were there. It was good.
Mm-hmm. To begin with, children who use social media are often targeted by their friends and even online strangers, and especially, I don't know if the wording here is perfect. Targeted by their friends and especially online strangers. I would probably focus on the strangers and not focus on the friends because if your friends are targeting you, I don't think that's a social media problem. You have bad friends. So I would focus on how um, social media use really opens up that vulnerability. You know, the idea that it can be targeted by persons for cyberbullying and stuff like that, and even persons who you know. But I wouldn't use the word friends necessarily because it's not social media that's making your friends target you. They would target you in real life anyway. But the social media, the difference that makes is that persons who you wouldn't necessarily interface with, they now have access to you via social media and you can be targeted by them. So I'd probably shift the focus a little bit. You
Okay,
disagree, Miss Berkeley?
yes, I did you see the face?
I
Yes,
saw it.
sorry, I did. Sorry about the facial expression. I was kind of
No, no, no.
thinking.
It's good.
I was thinking about a point while he was speaking so that I'll be able to express it effectively. So, friends, I think the word there, I disagree with the point that you make that you
Mm.
shouldn't use friends. I would use friends because Facebook, we call them our Facebook friends, right?
Okay. so
Right.
so
And
you're
in
using
addition,
friends kinda ironically.
yes. And in addition to that, um, a lot of sometimes you would see reports of students, you know, analyzing themselves because they were pressured to do it by persons who they thought were their friends,
So
right?
peers then, are they
So
really friends?
they they were friends, but they actually are frenemies. Sometimes you have friends who may not have the best intention for you, but in your mind that is your friend, and you're going down with this friend, but in their mind they have a hidden agenda. So I think the word friend, and I love how you put it in the quotation because it I think it was really effective here. Yeah.
I, if it were in quotes, I'd understand that, okay, the friends here, it's not like traditionally, genuine friends, but either Facebook friends or
Right.
persons we think are friends whose
Right.
intentions might be revealed by the
Yeah.
social media interaction. So I'd make that clear by either explaining a little bit or adding the air quotes or adding the actual quotes, or using Anselm said you could use followers, or I just wouldn't use friends and leave it at that, because then I'm thinking, but are these your friends in the first place?
Well,
But with
that's
the
that's
quotes,
the question, but in
mhm,
essence, they are friends. They are friends. They are persons that we went to school with. We call them loosely our friends. I mean,
mhm,
in Trinidad, we call everybody friends,
mhm.
right? Even if they mean bad for us, we call them friends until we see what their true intention is. So I think putting the quotations is really good, but I would leave the
Yeah.
term friends there.
Okay. If I were to leave it, I'd want to add these quotation marks to
Yeah,
indicate that there's some amount of irony happening here,
right.
and the
Yeah,
irony isn't
I
lost on
agree.
me. Yeah.
I agree.
So I don't want it to seem as if I am also caught in the delusion of thinking these people are my friends, but I can see through you know, I see what's happening here. I'm in on the joke pretty much. So I'll put the quotes. Yeah. And then we start with we follow up with a statistic. The global adults, I guess you mean 65% of adults globally. I mean, who is a global adult? I'm not sure what that means. Oh wow, Anselm, you have the same thought. Yeah, I would just switch that up so it sounds clearer, because I don't know what a global adult is. So 65% of adults globally have stated that their children, really, 65% of the adults in the world. What kind of survey was this? Have stated that their children have experienced cyberbullying through the use of Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, and more. Okay, I like the use of like direct examples instead of just saying social media platforms. It shows that you know what you're talking about. I would talk more. I would qualify this number, right? Like, where did they get this number from? When I say 65%, like 65% of the 4 billion adults in the world? Or is it that a survey was done across multiple countries? Like, where did this number come from? Qualify that number, and I'll be fine with the evidence. And I like the use of examples. You give me 3 examples, and then you say that also more. Yeah. So I think that's a good inclusion. What do we think about the use of evidence in this way?
I like it, and I fully agree with the 55%. I fully agree that we need to narrow down what is the pool, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where 65% of what exactly, like
Right.
adults globally, where give us a demographic, states basically research from a particular year, even if you don't want to narrow it down to like a country or different countries, you can narrow it down to years. 65% of adults globally within the year, blah blah blah,
Right.
would have stated, yeah.
Yeah, you need some qualification of the number. And I would capitalize the Discord, Instagram, Snapchat, because they're names of social media products. If you leave them common, we might not realize that these are social media platform names, right? If you write Facebook, we'd use a big F. If we use Instagram, big I, stuff like that. So just some minor stuff, but I like how you make a statement and you're backing it up now with some evidence, adding in some examples. This is how we want to support our points. And it goes on. Studies show that So since you, if you were to be more specific here, then I could forgive you for just saying studies show, right? You don't need to be specific with every single thing, but we need to see some. We need to know like where you're getting your evidence is from. Basically, you can't just say people say that this number exists. It sounds like you're making things up.
He can probably say these studies show. So yeah,
Yeah. If
yeah,
it is that you're referring to the statistic, then
yeah.
these studies show, or the word show is a little bit basic. Most students who want a grade one are going to be using words like indicate or suggest. I mean, it's a synonym. Show is a synonym, but you want to elevate the vocabulary where possible, right? So studies indicate that countless cyberbullies acquaint their victims with the painful experience of being bullied online because these bullies have been victims themselves. All right, the word bullies is mentioned a number of times. We could probably, yes, go ahead, Miss Berkeley. You're coming in. No, okay. I thought someone unmuted just now. So I would restructure this to not say the word bullies like three times in one sentence. It's a bit much. And the point that these bullies are bullying because they were once bullied. I don't know if you need to squeeze that in to this paragraph. I don't know. Personally, I would just focus on the idea that you can be targeted online quite easily via social media. In addition, the newer victims will do the same. Okay, so okay, I see where you're going now. You're talking about like the cyclic bullying. They were bullied, so they're going to bully you on social media, and then you are going to bully somebody else. That's a really big claim to make, that the newer victims will do the same. How are you sure that I'm going to bully somebody else if I am bullied? So the idea, I like I understand the idea, but you can't just make the claim that bully victims of bullying on social media will go on to bully other people on social media. That claim is a bit um without any evidence supporting it. I don't know if I could just make that claim and leave it at that. Yeah. I don't know if I could make that claim. What do we think? What do we think about the evidences and points in the first paragraph here?
I think he can just take off the word will and put could or possibly. That way, even if he's making the claim, it comes across as this is something that can
Or are
possibly
likely to?
happen. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be a way to make the point more credible. It sounds a bit more realistic. But generally, you've made a point, you've stated some evidence, you've dropped in some examples. So I think you're doing a good job in general in terms of the structure of your essay. All right, not too bad, not too bad. Ashley, would you see what the next paragraph has to offer?
Secondly, the repetitive right use of social media may cause addictive behaviors. According to a new study done by Harvard University, self-disclosure and social media networking sites lights up the same parts of the brain that also ignites when people when taking an addictive substance. In other words, the use of social media is like smoking a cigarette. Do we really desire for the brains of our future generations to be corrupted by something so harmful? If we don't take the necessary steps towards a better future soon, then it might be too late.
Hmm. Wow. I think there's some good persuasive language happening here. What do we think about the paragraph? Nice body. Instead of new study, I would say recent study. Yeah, it sounds a little bit better. Yeah, recent study. Yeah. So the repetitive use of social media may cause addictive behaviors. I might say may cause or may encourage dangerous addictions or something like that. Because it's not that. I probably just rephrase that. According to a recent study done by, I like how you are telling me who did this study this time. A recent study done by Harvard University, and then you put in quotes what the study found. Nice. Self-disclosure on social media networking sites lights up the same part of the brain that also ignites when taking an addictive substance. Mm. So, likening the social media use to taking drugs, very strong comparison. That can definitely add to some emotional appeal, right? In other words, and now you go ahead and you explain what you just quoted. Thank you. Let's not leave a quotation hanging. Let's tell us what the quote means in the context of the essay. In other words, the use of social media is like smoking a cigarette. Do we really desire for the brains of our future generation to be corrupted by something so harmful? If we do not take the necessary steps towards a better future soon, then it might be too late. I think it's a strong paragraph in general. Yeah, I think it's a strong paragraph.
This essay so far has been really strong, actually.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Yeah. Do we really desire for? Is that necessary? Is that correct? All right. Next paragraph. Let's run the next paragraph, Ashley.
Finally, social media is entirely capable of affecting our academics. However, the kind of effect that it has on the use of study depends on the situation. There are those who will use it to foster their academic achievements. For example, students and teachers can quickly share helpful resources at any time through the use of WhatsApp. In contrast, there are those who are so addicted that they ignore their responsibilities as a student. This is why social media is like two sides of the same coin.
Another good paragraph. The ending sentence. I'm not sure if you used that phrase correctly. Two sides of the same coin, but strong, strong. What do you think about this paragraph, panelists?
So it was good. The transition in contrast was good as well, in my opinion. Yeah, it was great.
All right, so we have our transition. Yeah, finally, social media is entirely capable of affecting our academics. However, the kind of effect it has on the youth today depends on the situation. All right, there are those who will use it to foster their academic achievements. For example, students and teachers can quickly share helpful resources at any time through the use of WhatsApp. So, a little bit of a counterpoint acknowledgement here. In contrast, right? So, showing that there are some positives, but guess what? There are some really bad negatives too. In contrast, there are those who are so addicted that they ignore their responsibilities. And I would just change how I express this last part here. But I think this is pretty smooth, pretty articulate. Yeah. What happens if we go over the word limit, and can we use testimonials? Yes, you can use testimonials, of course. And you shouldn't go too much over the word limit, because what it means is you're not able to write concisely. So you don't want to lose marks because you're rambling on and on. You want to stick to the points and discuss them. If you stick to the points, you won't go too far over the limit. Yes, Justin. The use of examples That contrast showing that, they're kind of two sides. Okay, so the two sides of the same coin, I guess this is in relation to the contrast here. Okay, let me see if it can be salvaged. This is why social media. Okay, okay. I take back what I said about the two sides of the same coin not working, because the paragraph does introduce that contrast of, um it can be good, it can be bad. So it's fine. It's fine. Very nice paragraph. Very nice paragraph. Yeah. All right, Ashley, conclusion.
In conclusion, it is only logical to put a hold on the over reliance on these online networks. Children have become victims of cyberbullying. Their brains have been altered in a way that makes the use of these networks addictive, and many students pay minimal to no attention to their responsibilities as a student. If your child is struggling with the use of social media, please call 1-876-536-8873.
Wow, this is a good conclusion too. It has the three
I love
elements.
it.
It has the three elements. Yeah. We have the stance restated, which is good. We have the 3 points reiterated, which is good. We have the call to action at the end, ending with that memorable punch. The marker will remember your essay. So, in terms of structure, this is an excellent example of what an essay should look like. Structurally, can we use to conclude? Yeah, you can use to conclude or in conclusion, or something like that, if you wish. Yeah, I think it's a very effective conclusion, effective body paragraphs, effective intro.
I think that essay
Explanations
was,
are good. Yeah.
this was well written. I especially like that he stick to the prompt. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, he really stuck to the prompt and
Mm-hmm.
focused on how children would be affected. He didn't go
Yes.
off into more general stuff. He's talking
Mm-hmm.
about children all the way through. Yes.
Yeah, good job, Michael.
Good job. Good job, Michael. Thank you for submitting this. Good job. All right. Oh, this is the last one. We've made it to the
Slay.
end. Oh, you said somebody sent something on your end,
Yes,
Ashley.
slay. Mm-hmm.
Are we gonna get to it? I don't know.
It's up to you,
Hmm.
slay.
We also had one that we skipped from Darrell Edwards. Yeah.
We skipped one.
Yeah, there was one you had sent me, Darrell Edwards.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know if it's there.
Oh, wait, this one? I don't
Um,
know. How did I skip this? Oh, wait a minute. We're not done.
yeah.
We're not done.
Yeah,
Okay,
that that was
there are a
it.
few
Yeah.
more. So how did I end up here? Ah, I think I got tripped up because I started with Krishna. I started in the middle of the file.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So that one, how many have we covered? One, two, three, four, five. Five is a good number. Okay. Let's speed read and do some very general feedback for the rest. All right. Let's speed read and do some general feedback. We can't go into much detail now. Ashley, intro, please. Michaela is here in the chat.
Today, many secondary school students believe the only responsibilities they possess as high schoolers are to complete assignments on time and receive high scores for them. On the contrary, it is critical for every secondary school student to participate in mind building activities, namely community service, which should also serve as a mandate for graduation since students would unlikely enlist for the task otherwise. Volunteering for community service will allow students to acquire several skills such as time management, teamwork, and collaboration that will undoubtedly assist them during exam seasons and adulthood. So make it a little bit bigger.
Oh, sorry. All right. All right. What do we think? Okay, let's go bit by bit. The hook. So the hook kind of bleeds into the stance because this in green here is also the stance. And then we have the points, I guess. All right. So what do you think about the hook? I think the hook is it's a little wordy, but besides that, the idea is good. I like how you start with the counterpoint. You start with what people believe, and then you tell us what the reality should actually be. It's critical. Nice vocabulary for every secondary student to participate in mind building activities. I would just to get decrease the word count a little bit here to participate in community service in let's say mandatory community service. Mandatory community service. I think if we eliminate that bit, it becomes a more manageable paragraph. Right. Today, many secondary school students believe the only responsibilities they possess as high school students are to complete assignments on time and receive scores for them. On the contrary, it is critical for every secondary student to participate in mandatory community service. Volunteering for community service, I'm not sure if it would be volunteering if it's mandatory though, would allow students to acquire several skills, such as time management, teamwork, and collaboration. So I guess your 3 points will be how this skill would be acquired, how this skill will be acquired, and how this skill will be acquired. That's what I would expect. Yeah, it was a part of the topic. But I'm just trying to find a way to reduce the word count. I said mandatory, so mandatory for graduation. You would go on to explain mandatory for graduation. Because if it's high school students participating in something mandatory, then obviously if you don't do it, you won't graduate. So I think that would be a good way to reduce this sentence was way too long. I think participate in, or if you want to keep the word graduation in the intro, participate in community service, which should also serve as a mandate for graduation, and we end it here. Yeah, should participate in community service, which should also serve as a mandate for graduation. So yeah, we could keep that. All right, let's see how the paragraph develops. Run it, Ashley.
Most high schools in the Caribbean require students to take part in community service activities when they are in high school. During this time, they are tasked with completing individual class and schoolwork, group projects, and CXC related tasks. These various assignments overwhelm most students as they are unfamiliar with appropriately managing their time. However, once a part of the community service However, a part of the community service program, students
Once
will have
apart.
once a part of the
Mm.
community service program, students will have no choice but to create a functional balance between their academic and extracurricular activities. As they continue to juggle between these enterprises, it is stating that they it is certain that the skill of time management will advance to a grade level that will allow task completion to become quicker and more efficient. This new mastery will also come of grade A when these students become adults in the working world.
Hmm. All right. All right. I think it's a thick paragraph, and the point is very well explained. I'm not sure if I'm seeing any actual evidence though to support all the explanation. Let me read again. Mm. Yeah, so a piece of evidence would be nice. The paragraph is already long, so you'd have to perhaps paraphrase some things. So you have space to add a piece of evidence. Yeah. Is it that we can see where students would have garnered time management skills by participating in community service? Is that proven somewhere? Has it been done in a school and we can see the result? Can you contrast students who have versus students who haven't participated in community service? We just need some amount of evidence. You have explained your point very well, very, very well. Now, back that up with some evidence. All right. So, really, really good explanation, really good vocabulary. We need some evidence um, to back that up. Anything else on the paragraph? We're actually moving faster on the feedback, not going into much detail.
No, sure.
Yeah. Miss Berkeley, where's Ajanaya?
That's
Ansley,
a great question.
Ajanaya saw Gia in the chat and got nervous and ran away. I think so. All right. Let's run down to the next paragraph. Run it, Ashley.
In order to study and comprehend some topics, students typically receive written notes and formulas and are only given opportunities to work hands-on with peers on a few occasions. Mandatory community service, however, gives them the chance to apply knowledge from the classroom to practical situations while networking and problem solving with their classmates daily. There are many tasks in community service that unify students for collaboration. This may entail physically assisting each other or brainstorming ideas to get things done. Community service, being mandatory, allows students to reflect on their academic lives by utilizing their thinking and practical skills.
What do you think? What do you think of this?
It was good to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the explanation is um really comprehensive, right? Um, the sentence structures, like grammar wise and punctuation wise, really nice paragraph. I just need some evidence. Give me some evidence. Yeah, give me some evidence, please. Yeah, but aside from that, you've really explained um the point that community service would allow them to apply, certain knowledge that they would get from their you know academic pursuits to the real life, right? Thinking and practical skills. All right, run the next one.
And hold on. Okay. In conclusion, community service not only generates vital skills such as time management, teamwork, and collaboration, but also provides an avenue for practical application of classroom knowledge. Despite some students being against its mandatory nature, making community service a graduation requirement ensures that students actively work towards achieving this valuable experience. It serves as a gold mine for discovering new skills and instills a sense of see,
Hmm?
it's a multi scroll
Oh, sorry.
and instills a sense of responsibility, further enriching their overall educational journey.
Hmm. I think this is a good essay. I think this is a really good
I
essay.
think this is yeah, I think so as
It
well.
it could have been a closer to perfect essay if we had some evidences. In terms of the argumentation and the flow of the arguments and the transitions and how one paragraph leads to the next, very, very commendable. I just want to see either some quotes or some statistics, maybe a bit more appeal to emotion. Argument wise, excellent. Persuasive technique wise, you need some of those, right? You need some of those. So good work. You're definitely a really good writer, Michaela. I think we're at the point where we have to call it a day. We haven't touched on every essay. Um, whose is this? There's one here, one here. There are two more, and then Ashley, your friend's essay. I think we'll have to do a
Continuation.
follow up stream because it's getting late for some of us. For some of you, it's like going toward 10 p.m. So I don't want to keep you, hold you hostage. Um, so we'll have to do a follow up where we can take on these essays that we have not yet touched. And there are still a few essays that we didn't touch from the last one because you guys sent in two essays each. We might touch on some of those and then your friend's essay, right? So I think we can call it a day here. We got through about, I don't know, six essays, which is good. I think that's even more than we got through last time. It does take time to get through the essays. Yeah, it does take time. So let's call it a day before we start getting exhausted. Yeah, yeah. So thank you guys for joining. Thank you so much thank you to those brave enough to submit their essays to have them roasted on the platform. Yeah, and Miss Berkeley, thanks for showing up and offering more teacher insights. Yeah, and Ashley and Slim Ajanaya. Jenna didn't join us, but she was in the chat. Thank you guys.
See you guys tomorrow.
Yes. Yeah, tomorrow. Oh, let me show you what we're doing tomorrow. We're not continuing this tomorrow. Um, we're not continuing this tomorrow. Uh, let me show you what we're doing tomorrow. Oh man, I'm not even sure what we're doing tomorrow. We should be doing report writing, and to be honest,
Sorry,
it's
guys. I just
it's a
I'm
touch
kind of
shaky.
lost. Are we finished with it live or are we still live?
Oh, we're still live.
Okay.
For the moment, yeah.
Okay. I just
Thanks for
finished.
checking.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to show everyone what we're doing tomorrow, and then call it call it a day. And this will be especially good for those who are new to the stream. Yeah, so this is what we're doing tomorrow. We should be doing report writing starting at 8 a.m. And if there's a slight chance that we might not do report writing but do something else, because to be honest, I'm not fully prepared just yet, and I'm not sure if I'll have the time to fully prepare. I'm working on some stuff for you guys. I want to make sure that whatever I present is up to standard. So if I have to rush and do something, kind of half good, that won't work. If I end up not doing report writing tomorrow, what I might do is just switch the day with study tips, so I have more time to prep for report writing. Or I might do just an additional thing, or I might just do a part two to the essay reviews, since you guys seem to like the review sessions. So if report writing doesn't materialize for tomorrow, we'll continue reviewing the essays. And then the 100 study tips, guys, you don't want to miss that session. And I have another 100 tips for English B students, which I might not get to do in the same stream because that would be overkill in terms of time. But yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow, pretty much. Thanks for coming out. All right, we're wrapping up. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Yes.